This is Naoki Yoshida.
This is Fern Halls.
And you are listening to Aetheryte Radio.
Aetheryte Radio.
Here we go.
Hello and welcome to Aetheryte Radio, Gamerscape's Final Fantasy XIV podcast. I'm FusionX. Joining me today, we've got a full house again. We've got Zadidra, we've got Algino, and we've got Rook. It's been a couple weeks. Hopefully, everybody here in the U.S. had a good Thanksgiving. For everybody else, hopefully you just enjoyed the last couple weeks. So if you guys don't know, we've had this thing that has launched. It's called ENDWALKER. So we're going to talk a little bit about that today. We're not going to spoil anything because we don't want people to punch us through the internet.
Yeah, please don't murder us with your mind powers.
Please don't murder us. Rook, please don't murder me. Seriously, we were talking before the show, and we were just kind of going, right? We start talking about this thing, and I just let something slip. And I feel like the world's biggest asshole. So I want to, right now that we're live, I want to apologize in front of everybody. I am so sorry.
You know what, Fusion? It's all right. And I thank you for this public display of apology. It does help soothe it a little bit, especially because I so clearly stated where I was right before you revealed the thing you revealed. But you know, it's okay. And, you know, I wouldn't be where I am today without you or on this lovely podcast. So I will forgive you one day, maybe in another life. But for right now, no, I'm kidding. It's fine. It's fine.
No, it's not.
I know you're gonna feel terrible about it. And
I do.
Okay.
I feel awful.
It's okay. I will survive.
So what we're gonna do?
No spoiling here.
What we're gonna do is make sure that we don't do any of that for you guys that are tuning in right now. So.
If there are parts of the podcast where like three of us just start screaming, it's because the fourth almost said something wrong.
Yeah. Well, see, this is the thing. I was actually the sacrificial rook in this situation because now we're all so terrified about spoiling anything for anyone else.
I mean, that's not
that
wrong.
We're gonna be especially
I am horrified at saying anything. What?
Oh, internet is a robot.
Oh, just connection issue. You're good. There we go. Yeah, do the dance.
Am I good?
You're backish now, yeah.
Yes.
Backish. You're not wrong.
Very, very true.
Oh, there we go.
Okay.
Woo, we're back.
I'm gonna have to
Yay!
like keep this playing on my other screen here
Just to watch it, yeah.
to make sure that we're good. Oh man. Okay.
We're fuzzy.
It'll buff
I
out.
think it's okay now. Do I need to like start over?
There we go.
I don't know how
It'll buff
that's
out.
gonna affect the VOD.
We could start over. We didn't get very far.
Yeah, I mean, we could just start the whole intro over if you want, or we could just add this in.
It's buffering
no.
again.
Oh no.
This
You're not.
Oh no.
But you're not
Maybe
affected by it right now.
Maybe something got during the storms or things. Maybe something got borked with the ISP by you.
All right, I'm gonna make a sacrifice. I'm gonna jump out of queue.
Oh no.
Oh, Fusion, no.
I'm gonna close my client. It's okay. It was only 26,000. Let's see. Some people are saying it's getting better. I don't know if that's true.
It keeps giving a little whirly every now and then.
Yeah, it is. What?
Here or there.
Oh no.
Looks okay at the moment.
Okay.
Fusion's internet has rebelled. And it was like, I don't know if I can trust you today with all this, everybody. There's a lot of stuff that's happened. And can you really talk about it without spoiling? I think it's best that you just don't get to talk today.
I mean,
the tubes.
I think it's Okay, let's
It
let
seems
it.
steady right now.
Let's
Okay.
hang out for a second here, and
Just
then
chill,
we'll
you know.
we'll
Okay.
start again.
I'm gonna do a local recording, so if the audio goes winkety wonkety, then I still have something solid.
That's a
That
technical
is
term, by the way.
a good plan.
Wickety wonkety, yeah, that is correct.
Wiggity wonkity.
You know, because you're a professional, Aldia.
Yes.
So.
Yeah, that's the industry term. You've all learned something new today.
Yep, that's right.
Oh man, I
Alright.
was really thinking like that it would be fine. I haven't had any other issues this morning aside from that one little blink. So
Yeah, it seems like it's been steadier now since you sacrificed your place in the queue in
Yeah.
the noble pursuit of podcasting.
Yeah.
you know, it's you sometimes you got to do what you got to do.
Yeah. Everybody feels that one. I mean, we talked a little bit pre-show about the queues, but oh my goodness. Oh my goodness.
So really,
Yes, it has been a
really,
time.
it's everybody's fault for being like, yeah, I'm in queue or I'm moving my mouse. I'm like, yeah, I should log in right now and do it too. So it's all of your wonderful advice that.
Oh yeah, I did
Okay.
do that. That's
I'm
my fault.
kidding. I'm kidding.
Yeah, sure. Okay, this is our fault, but
No, I mean, I may have created a wave.
Rick's over here. He's like, are you fucking for real trying to turn this around and make me the bad guy right now?
after you did spoil me for Endwalker. No, it's it's all right. Yes, no, I will accept at least this one small corner of blame. But to be fair, as we were talking about in the pre-show, queues really have been, I think, the only downside of Endwalker so far, right?
Absolutely.
And like we were saying, it's not something that I don't think many of us anticipated, especially given the context of the world, everything that's been happening, the unprecedented amount of players. Again, I kept telling people ahead of time, I was like, do not take the time off the day of. In the past, they've been so good, but we really don't know what's going to happen this time. And it has been spicy. I've been very lucky. In the morning, I log in and it's been fine on Crystal DC. But anytime if I get DC'd or if something else happens and I'm logging in 4 or 5 p.m. and after here, you really do have to wait hour and a half, 2 hours.
Yep.
You know?
Yeah, I was lucky enough because, I'm not streaming it. I'm not recording it. I'm not doing anything with the MSQ other than devouring it. I got to just power through. I literally did not get into any Discord. I did not talk to anyone. I just did it in the hours that I had, the few hours that I
am
had.
so envious of you right now.
It was tough. I really wanted to talk about it, but I'm like, I cannot. I just have to go. I only have like the hours in which I should be sleeping. So
I did get in Discord because I'm addicted to talking to my friends.
Yeah.
And everybody was really good about being very careful.
Yeah.
People were constantly muted or and deafened because, you want to listen to the cutscenes. And so people would be like, yeah, and the part where pause, look at Discord, blah, 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 blah happened. Or pause, hey, how far are you? Okay. And we were all like, we were hyper aware of how far each and every person getting in Discord was. So we didn't spoil anybody.
I think an industrious Discord you could make tags, right? You could self-tag yourself like I am this level or whatever. That'd be great, honestly.
That's a lot of that's a lot of like bot role setup. Like
Yeah.
It's true, but I mean that's definitely something you could do, especially if you're just in like a smaller FC server or something.
Right.
You could limit it to, I've done 1 dungeon, 2 dungeon, like whatever, right?
Yeah, whatever metric.
you got to be careful
just
though,
have,
because
like,
even if you have one area, yeah, but how far into that area?
Yes, it's true. I mean, it's true.
Yeah.
That's kind of why we just restricted everything to like straight up spoilers channel on Discord. And even in the spoilers channel, we have like these strict guidelines for like tagging the general thing you're talking about and then doing the full like blackout text blackout, like where it's just like Final Fantasy 14 level 85 dungeon or whatever, so that people again, even if they click on that channel or accidentally click on it, they don't see it.
Right.
I have been super lucky that I have not. It's partially because I shrank my actual chat box all the way down to the very bottom and set it on one of my RP, like no spoilers tag setting, like for the actual conditions of the chat box. But I have not even seen, at least on Crystal, anybody try to DM me spoilers or like shout out spoilers in a zone. I know some people haven't been as lucky, but overall, the community is usually pretty good about safeguarding it,
Yeah.
First thing I did when I logged in, turn off shouts. Off.
Mm-hmm.
Reflexively.
Yeah. Yeah, there's I got semi-spoiled in game, but I can't say how because
Right.
saying how would be a spoiler.
Right.
It's like
Just know that it happened.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Let's go
One
ahead.
Spoiler. Yeah.
We'll roll the intro.
I'm really good at connecting dots. So somebody said something really vague, but I still figured it out, and I was like, "Let's not talk about vague things either." Okay.
Yeah. Well, let's go ahead. I'm gonna roll the intro.
sorry.
We keep going.
Oh, okay.
Oh.
Well, I'm gonna
Okay, I
re-roll
thought we
the
were
intro.
doing the cast. I thought we had done it. We'd started.
Yeah, me
I don't
too.
know. What are we just gonna keep going?
I think so.
We're just gonna keep
Yeah.
going. Okay. All right.
We have people here. I mean, we can cut
Give
this
them-
out using the power of editing.
Okay. Have fun editing
We-
first, Zen.
No. Too much to do. Sorry, not happening.
I could do it. Maybe. I
Aldino
just
can
need to
do it
get
because
permission.
Aldino has time.
He's
off
got the
now.
what was that technical term? The wiggity something?
Wiggity
Oh, I don't
waggity.
remember.
Wiggity waggity.
No, I was just gonna say I'm fun employed, which is great.
Fun employed. There you go.
Yeah. In between.
But yeah, I mean, honestly, the only thing that I think has been a disappointment with the release has been these queues. And again, it wasn't anything totally unanticipated. And like people have been saying in chat, which is really nice, they have kept us up to date about it. They've talked about it, right?
Yeah.
Now, again,
Warned us,
does that
in
actually...
fact.
Yes, I know. Like, again, does that actually invalidate the frustration that people feel
Mm-mm.
experiencing this? No. And like
Mhm.
with stuff like the errors, there is literally nothing anybody wants to see less than getting an error message and then feeling like they were robbed of like their place in the queue, their time
Mhm.
spent in the game.
Yeah.
And like I think many of us consciously understand that, but it has carried real frustration. I was just saying in the pre-show, even my partner who really, really was looking forward to actually getting back into the game again, but who oftentimes has to work all day and has to work late a lot of nights, has like it's been so impossible for them to get in off of queues that they just have almost given up on trying to get caught up in the game and get back into the game again at a time that they really would have liked to get back into the game and really wanted to get excited about it. So it is really difficult. And I would just say that in regards to spoilers, like we were all talking about, it means that a lot of people are much further behind than they probably would have been at this point
Yeah.
for many reasons. So again, I would just give everybody a little bit of leeway, a little bit of grace on stuff like that, because it's tough for people right now.
Mm.
I mean, it's been crazy. Like they've had, I think, 2 or 3 updates on congestion
Yes.
since early access started. They just posted one today, even, just kind of giving us an update. I mean, nothing really new has happened, but the fact that they want to make sure that they are telling us everything that they can. Like, I mean, they've even gone so far as to deploy like dev servers for like lobby servers and stuff. Like
Which is
it's
terrifying.
at the point where they have literally done everything that they can.
That
For
is
this. That's insane.
that's a move that you don't do.
Yeah.
Like, and it kind of limits their capacity going forward too. I mean, if you don't have those dev servers to test on, to develop on, and you're using them for lobby servers, then you kind of have your hands tied a little bit. And it's a big sacrifice, but it's also a huge risk because those servers are not production ready usually. So the team that had to do that,
Yeah.
I salute you. That's crazy.
You gotta wonder what kind of knowledge, right? I mean, obviously, like I'm sure internally Yoshida has an idea of like when they can maybe expect new servers and stuff that he's not going to tell the public. Like
Right.
It could be like a year from now. They don't want to hear that.
It
right
could
now.
be.
So yeah, the
Even
fact that
then, there could be a setback there. So
Yeah, I
telling
mean,
us ahead of time doesn't help.
I'm curious. Maybe the hope is, they deployed these servers, but maybe the hope is that they can kind of like take them back after things have calmed down a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And hopefully, that is the case, because yeah, it's not fun waiting in the queues or getting, we had Gilgamesh crashed in the middle of a cutscene for me and actually like backtracked my progress like maybe 5 minutes. I crashed like literally like right as I was like about to like get into the final zone, like literally like talking to the NPCs and I'm like, all right, let's go to the final crash. Great, thanks for that. So I've been playing a lot of Halo Infinite in my downtime the last couple of days.
It did seem like it
Yeah.
helped though. That first morning it was ridiculous to try and get into the game, and since then the queues, while longer, are more stable.
Mhm.
Yeah, and
I've
it
had
seems
few.
like from what I've heard, people aren't getting kicked out of the queue as much, or if they're
Yes.
immediately getting back in, they're able to hold their position where they were.
Mhm.
It really is one of those things where, like, I was recording, right? So I've been recording through my whole playthrough to put on YouTube and voicing all of the characters and everything. So it takes
It's
me
crazy.
literally twice as long as most people. And because I'm also just like a huge lore nerd, I also want to go around to every NPC and talk to them and then voice them. So it's so long, right? So, the day that I had my 2 really bad crashes were the day that I had blocked off the whole day to do recordings, and I've been recording for like 8 hours, and on one hand, I'm so grateful that I was able to play that much. So, I don't want to diminish that, but I got to like this peak cutscene where all this stuff was taken off and it was this huge thing. And then I got the like 90,002 crash and I got booted out, and I was sitting there going, oh no. Because at that point, it was late. I only had so much time before I had to do something else that night.
Right.
Like, I was just sitting there. I was like, Q, right now, it's after 5. It's going to be a monster. And like, sure enough, it took me almost 2 hours to get back in. So I just cooked dinner during it. And then I had to go really late that night. So, it is something that is affecting people. And it is frustrating. You don't want to have to deal with that, especially when the story and everything else are so good.
Yeah,
they're so good.
I think I've been in a good place with the congestion in terms of like mentally and like frustratingly, like, because leading up to this, like, my whole mentality has been like, look, Shadowbringers had like, it was like a butter smooth launch. Like that's I hear that's where BTS got the inspiration for their butter song, was just the smoothness of that Shadowbringers launch. And coming into Endwalker, it's like, look, things are gonna happen. Like, it would be great if things don't happen, but I am fully expecting the shit to hit the proverbial fan, right? And for the first few days of early access, there were queues, sure, but eventually able to get in and do stuff. But yeah, like once I had these couple of instances where I'm like in the middle of something and then it cuts out and then I can't get back in, and then it's just constantly giving me errors. It's like it's frustrating. But I think if I didn't kind of pre-build this mentality of like things were not gonna go well, I think I would be like so much more angry about it.
I agree. I mean, like we said, a lot of us had braced ourselves for it. And I think a lot of people, and again, this is not to invalidate anybody's feelings on this, because how you feel is valid, right? You can't help that. That's just your reaction, and it's going to happen. And it has been really frustrating for people. But it is one of those things where I think that given all the rest of the context of the world, all the other difficulties that have been faced, all the other things that are going on, the unprecedented amount of players, like we said, it's something where if you didn't at least brace yourself a little bit for the possibility that this was a thing and that it could be a thing, I do think you got to reevaluate how you consider MMO launches, because Shadowbringers was so smooth, and that's a real testament to the team. This time around, given a perfect situation in a world that wasn't facing a pandemic and all sorts of other stuff, it might have been, but as it is, nobody could have anticipated this stuff. You know what I mean? It doesn't make it any less frustrating, but it does mean that we understand even as we kind of experience it. And it tempers some of that frustration. Yeah.
It's a big hug of death that we are giving to the servers because we want to play it so much.
Yeah. I think for a lot of people, it's compounded, right? I mean, things being the way that they have been for the last like 2 years almost now. They're like, all right, let's escape. Let's play this game. Let me in. Like, why? I'm like over here, like on stream, like trying to like get through the MSQ. I'm like, I love you, data center. You're the best data center. You son of a bitch. Like, it's rough. It's rough. So yeah, I mean, be considerate. I think we are still going to probably keep our same kind of schedule for reviews and lorecast and stuff like that. But obviously, like, everybody has, we had the delay to be, the 2-week delay. We have the server issues. Their progress is going to be way more scattered, I think, than it ever has been. And for a story of like this magnitude, like it's not ideal, but like it is what it is. And I think that, the more people that are, try to practice a little bit of understanding instead of just yell angrily at their computer monitor, I think we'll all get through this a little easier. So
I was talking about guide stuff in the Gamerscape channels, and none of us, but one of the other staff members was like, okay, so I have to not look at the website for a couple of weeks while I catch up with the story. And I was like, aha. So even the guide, like, pictures and descriptions this time are just going to say level blah dungeon. There's going to be nothing that can let you know what this dungeon is other than the level you queue in on.
Yep. I mean, a lot of people, I think if you're being considerate, you do that. And there's been problems even on YouTube with people doing blatant spoilers and thumbnails and stuff like that. So, you know, when I was looking at mine and I was like, what am I going to put up? You know, I was just like, I'm going to do the absolute vaguest pictures. And if there is no way for me to do something that is an in-game screenshot that, you know, from this section isn't spoilery, then I will just put a black screen with the Endwalker logo or something and replace it later. Sirens, sorry.
They disagree.
But yeah, you do have to be careful. I've seen people get spoilers on Twitter. I've seen them get them on YouTube. I've seen them, you know, people are posting stuff up. So put yourself on lockdown if you really don't want to encounter any of it. It's easier said than done sometimes. But
yeah, I mean, there's options depending on what kind of Twitter clients you use to set up filters and stuff like that. I actually didn't set up any filters, and I've been very, very lucky so far on social media. There's been a few people that are like, even it's rough because you really gotta be careful. Like, even if you vague tweet, you're still like saying stuff. You know, there's been a handful of people where I was like, I'm muting you. Like, I'm sorry. Like, I'm gonna mute you, and hopefully I remember to unmute you once I'm done with Endwalker. But it's just like,
but I don't guarantee it.
I know it. Honestly, I will say this anytime I'm doing anything that I'm in, like a podcast, on a stream, on whatever, where we're doing like no spoilers. I'm always just like, when I say no spoilers, I mean no spoilers. Do not wink wonk, but like this thing and like it's like, and maybe like, don't do anything. Don't even post some joke that sounds like it could be close to the truth. Don't do just don't do that. And sometimes people think that they're helping, or that they're like being vague by saying, and this is not in any context a spoiler, this is me giving an example, I want to preface with that. They'll be like, oh, you won't believe this next thing, or like, oh, this part, oh yeah, that next bit after that's so sad, or like, and it's just, you just sit there like, just don't say anything. Just don't. You can be like, I have really enjoyed it, and you know, it was a great experience, and I hope you love it. But like, don't give any of that other stuff, because yes, people will vague about it, but even so, or they'll think that they're being helpful. I saw this one thing that was going around where they were like, there's this thing that if you have it, that's all I'm going to say, like in a major place, then there's a chance that somebody might get spoiled. And it's like, I was sitting there going, well, now I am hyper alert for keeping out for whatever this could be.
And it's weird. And this is the kind of like crazy bullshit like that we're going at lengths to, right? Because I hear Rook say this and I'm like, I think I know what you're talking about, and I think that might be the thing that I kind of vaguely talked about but couldn't talk about earlier.
It is exacerbated by the queues. I mean, of course. But you know, we as a community, we really try not to do it. So
I honestly like, all of this aside, right? Vague tweeters and asshole podcast co-hosts aside, I've been really impressed with how like quiet everybody's been about it for the most part. I haven't, you know, I didn't set up any filters or anything on my Twitter. I haven't really seen any big, huge like this thing happened, you know. So everybody's being really good about it. Obviously, part of that might be just because some of those people just haven't gotten to the end yet because they've been in queues. But you know, I think in the next couple of weeks, that's going to be something that is gradually coming out. So definitely, you know, obviously play at your own pace, right? Everybody's got their own schedule. Everybody's got their own world queues to deal with. So if, you know, look and see where you are. The way I would gauge it is by looking at, like, we know we have 6 field zones, right? See like where you are, see like how long the game's been out. If you're seeing people slowly start to talk about certain things on Twitter, maybe that's the time to like back off. If you know that, like, okay, I still need to get through like the final couple areas. Just
don't look.
When
don't
you
look
need
at
to
Twitter
not look.
till you're done. Just don't. Just don't look.
Be careful.
You're not gonna miss anything.
And it's like, don't get me wrong, I am the worst about that. I will default, I mean, especially too when you're a content creator, but everybody is guilty of this in some way, shape, or form. But like, I am the worst, just endless scroller when I have nothing else that I'm doing. Sometimes when I'm even in a dungeon, I'm like, this run's pretty boring. I'm gonna get my phone. And so I'm like, with one hand, I'm scrolling Twitter. With the other hand, I'm like, they didn't die.
They're just like, cure.
Yeah, cure.
Tell us you're not playing Sage.
What's the latest celebrity gossip?
You're not playing
Yes, I
Sage.
know. See, I cannot do that on Sage. I cannot do that on Sage.
Yeah.
But I can with other classes I've been playing for ages and that are more straightforward. So like it's been really hard for me personally. This would be my maybe little advice tip. Take it or leave it. Give yourself something else to replace those patterns of things that you do. So like I have had a TV show up on the other monitor or something. And if I find myself really getting to the point where I'm like, oh, I want to scroll this, or I'll open up YouTube and then I'll start scrolling it. I'm like, oh, I can't. Instead, I'm like, I already have this thing queued up, so I'm going to put this on. Or like give yourself an alternate activity. If Q takes a long time, watch a stream that's marked no spoilers. Go check out, old content, lore content, whatever kind of stuff, a broadcaster's channel that they aren't going to be doing anything.
And I want to say something too, because this is something that I saw the other day from a streamer, and I'm not going to like call them out personally, right? But they were basically like, okay, so like we're done with the MSQ, so no more spoilers. We're going to start doing like progging on EX trials. I'm like, that's spoilers. Like, what? So be really careful, even if they say no spoilers. If they're progging EX fights, like, hello.
Yeah. For me, honestly, I've drawn the line with things that were explicitly shown in the promotional stuff, in the fan fest, in the live letter, if it was there, if it was on the website, if it was described by name on the website, like those are the things where I've been saying these are not spoilers. But I still will say, like, hey, just a heads up. We're going to we did like one stream. I've been doing all non-spoiler streams, but we did one stream where I was like, I'm doing the first dungeon and I will be in the first zone doing fates. These were all shown publicly. I only did the things that were shown publicly and that you've seen and that you probably would have seen from my media tour coverage. So like, if you are fine with that, stay. If not, then that's okay. Go, but like, people do consider things really weirdly as like not spoilers or out of context. But honestly, in the case of this particular expansion, every single thing serves the story. Every single thing is something they are using in their kit to tell and wrap up 10 years of story.
There's even like side quests. Like my wife was walking around I think Labyrinthos, and just talks to some random person and makes some kind of like statement. Oh, blah, 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 blah. And I was like, wait, what? Like, it's just random ass side quest. That's like, if you're into lore and stuff, it's like,
it's going to get you.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, everything is going to be just, it's crazy. So be careful out there. Be considerate. I don't think I've seen any like spoiler like titles yet. I don't know if there are any. I know they had that issue before with was that Papa Limo when they
I don't know.
Papa Limo's last witness or something.
I have seen that people have been saying not to browse through all of the market board.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Because I think there's some stuff there that has
Alternatively, do not look at the new furniture lists when you're in.
That too.
Oh, that too. Yes, that's a good point. Yeah, don't look through those things because some of the items and stuff that have been added into game will give you spoils as well.
Armor names.
Yeah, I've just been in my raid
crafting
gear.
Items.
They give me something. I'm like, is this better? Great. I slap it on my body.
That's it.
I'm like not doing anything else.
Not shopping.
Luckily, when I kind of like I was looking at furniture stuff and I see this thing and I was like, is this a spoiler? I don't know. Like it's called this one thing, but like that's a fairly common word, so maybe it's not related, but it could be because there's furniture from all.
Don't
these
even
other
hurt
places.
yourself that way.
Like.
Just don't look at it.
So don't even look at it.
I actually forgot. I normally go immediately look at the furniture because I am a housing enthusiast, and I completely was like sucked into the MSQ this time, and I'm really glad I waited. There's spoilers in there.
What I would recommend for you to look at the furniture list is when you're done with the MSQ and you're deciding if you want to be that crazy person that grinds fates, because those rank 3 rewards, it appears from what I've seen so far, are all like furniture based, and you can tell which ones are probably going to be able to be purchased with your gemstones because they'll be like unique untradeable on the furniture list. So you can like go through and then not realize, like go through all these fates and then get like a really crappy furniture item that you like, you're like, great, I'm glad that I spent the time to get this. Like,
look, I'm going to grind every single zone anyway, because after they gave us in Shadowbringers the baby Amaro, that was like the crowning achievement thing that you got from that. Now I'm like, they give me something that is that good that I'm gonna do every single one.
But you can prioritize to get certain things, and, first instead of like really lame things. And I can't say what the lame thing was, because
and it may not be lame to everybody. Some people may be like,
no, I would be concerned if this wasn't lame to everybody. Like I don't know
tell
who
me
would.
what it is later.
Okay. I'm gonna challenge you on this when I finish everything, because I probably will love it. But I'm also the person that in my own personal playthrough has walked up to the smallest housing items and been like, "Do you see this? Do you see it?
Look at it.
This is amazing.
I'm gonna put it on my wall."
I was in, this isn't a spoiler, again, it's a zone we've been in, and it was covered in media tier. The city Old Charlian, went to the last stand, the cafe that's there, and I just looked at the table, and there are little sandwich boxes on it, and I yelled about the sandwich boxes for a good 10 minutes.
Starbucks. Yeah, no, we've had this discussion. Yep, Starbucks.
Yep. Wow. What do we even go to next? Oh, go ahead.
I was a little sad. I was like, this is it? That's all the furniture? It's a freaking full scrollable list. I'm like, that's it? Where's the rest?
I mean, yeah, it's weird because like it's not like there's only a few items, but I feel like it's a shorter list than I would have expected at the same time. But
just for an expansion release.
But there's also like, I mean,
it's pretty normal for a patch release. So.
Yeah, but this is in addition to like all the stuff we already have too, right? So
it's true. I mean, I will say, again, we're talking in big generalizations. Our initial 4-day hands-on feelings, right? It's one of those things where the quality and everything in this expansion has truly blown me away. I really have. It's been one of the most phenomenal experiences. You know what I mean? There's been so much stuff that I will never forget in all of my years of gaming in this expansion. The one thing that I have been like, maybe this could have been a little more. And this is such a small thing in what is otherwise, I truly think, a masterpiece. But such a small thing is the fact that I think they could have doubled down on a lot of things in the game, as far as even just amount of number of content you got, like number of, instances and things, the amount of stuff, gear, unique new gear, new stuff, there is cool stuff in there, furnishing items, like there's cool stuff in there, but it does feel like some of that was a little bit closer to, like you said, like a patch or a previous expansion, whereas this one, the bulk of it is so much more massive than anything we've gotten before. And yet it didn't feel like they had quite scaled to match the sheer amount of the story and the zones and it's like, again, it is a very minor, tiny thing, all things considered. The rest of it, I cannot sing its praises enough. But it does feel like they could have stepped up a little bit more with some of that, given the overall, like, full context. I'm curious if you all feel the same. I don't really know. Like, maybe this is just me, and this is only my opinion, which is fair as well. But
I mean,
specifically are the things you feel that are limited?
I think especially. Well, I was just gonna say, I think that like a couple of the sets and stuff, like leveling gear stuff, just like random stuff. A lot of it is reused, recolored, which isn't unusual. It's not unusual, right? But again, to have such visually rich areas where I will eat up every single tiny thing they could possibly give me, it felt a little disappointing. And some of the things, like, I think especially early on, the pacing of content versus just sheer story, to me felt a little bit like I could have stood to have some bonus stuff to do. I could have, if our story is, twice as long as it previously was, I would have liked to see twice as much content that we get, which again, feasible for them to realize? Probably not. But as far as the actual, like, early game pacing, like the way that I felt, again, I want to just clarify and say that I think this has been truly outstanding. I'm not even through it all yet. It's been truly outstanding. These are very minor, tiny things. But there were a few things like that where I was kind of like, oh, I kind of would have maybe liked to have a little bit more, a little bit more momentum, some more unique things for this big capstone expansion. But
I'll agree
the
on
only thing.
on the gear. Go ahead,
Yeah.
Charles.
Oh yeah, that's what I was gonna say. As I was leveling up through it, I was like, yeah, new gear. And where is it? What does it do? Okay, it's all right. That's cool.
I think
I've
as
seen it before.
as I've been going through, and again, like I haven't finished MSQ yet, but I think I've like equipped like one set of like as you go through, like they give you gear, and I think like kind of like 84, 85 is when I like threw that gear on finally, and then I didn't do anything until like 89.
Yeah.
So I'm just like it's like whatever.
Yeah.
And the whole time it was glamored anyway, so like I didn't even
no,
Yeah.
I mean, I agree. I really, like I said, I think it's an incredibly minor thing.
Yeah.
To be
and
honest.
you know, I do wonder if part of that decision, right? I think there's a couple factors. One, glamour, right? People just glamour over it anyway. But two, I mean, we don't know how much work they had to do for Milvira, if they had to do anything at all for gear. Right. I mean, maybe they were able to copy paste it from something, you know, they still probably had to fine tune some gear. So maybe that workload was like, all right, we can add a couple of things here, but like really, if we're adding Milvira, we need to spend the majority of our time making sure that they
Throw
can
the bun boys under the bus. I see.
So I haven't
I'm
looked
kidding.
at the crafting gear. I don't know if any of that is new stuff or if it's all old. But the dungeon stuff, there are new sets in there,
Yeah.
There are bits and
We're
pieces.
talking about. Yeah.
and they're great. The new
Yeah,
sets
they
are
are.
No, yeah.
very good.
It's
But
just,
but I think it is at least one less new set than last time.
and I believe. Go ahead.
Go ahead if it's about gear. Go ahead.
It's mostly the leveling gear that we don't care about because you raid, right? You have higher item level than that, so you're never going to replace it. But it's that gear that you start to get, and you're looking at the name of, which I would never say it because it doesn't matter either. But you look at it and you're like, ooh, what's that going to look? Why does it look like that? Why does it look like this gear? Why are you reusing that here? How does that make sense in the story? That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah, it's you know,
Which
it's
is
funny
fine.
because we talked about that before with the Aniter gear looking like the Shire gear, right? You're like, one of these looks like the other.
Yeah, and I mean, like I said again, I think that much of this, in the grand context of everything, doesn't really matter.
No.
You know, it's like, honestly, the thing is, I feel like I almost just like led with that thought because the sheer amount of other things, the list of things that I could praise from this expansion is so massively long. We could talk for 7 hours, like we could talk for 5 days straight about it, I think. You know,
and we will.
There's incredible payoff too, like down the road. I mean, the pace does continue to build momentum as you go, and I think there's just a lot of really phenomenal stuff. But that was like the one thing I noticed from it.
Where I'll disagree is, and I actually had this thought as I was doing MSQ. I really liked the ratio of stuff to do versus stuff to watch. And I was thinking to myself, I wonder if this is a me thing, because it's definitely more stuff to watch than we've ever had. But I've been playing this game so long, it's like going to, you know, do fetch quest or whatever again. Do I have to? Can't you just tell me more story? So for me personally, I was in a place where I was like, good, I don't have to do all that extra crap. I just want you to tell me the cool shit you're telling me.
I think where I would then make a distinction in what I was saying is specifically instant stuff. So like the pacing of how long it takes you to get to the first dungeon, for example, felt massively long to me.
Yeah, no, I will agree with that.
Like massively long.
Absolutely.
Like that's more what I'm talking about, because they introduced some little things to do right within the story. Some of it I think works really well. I won't say anything again because this is non-spoilers. Some of it I was like, you could have cut all of this type of thing, and I would never. I would have thanked you for it. Please don't make me do it again. You know. But specifically referring to, I think, the areas where they really shine, there are a couple really phenomenal, even like story duty instances that I think really enhanced the storytelling and gave you this sense of momentum and showed off creativity. And I was like, whoa, I would have loved to have one of these like fairly early on, especially if it was going to be a long time. And then like other stuff, just like the amount of dungeons, trials, things like that specifically. And again, this is just me because I personally love that kind of content. And I know that there is an argument to be made about other people not caring about it as much. You know what I mean? But to me, me, I find that like, and some of it as well is just the pace that I go through playing recording, because it does take me, like I said, 2 times longer than most people. So I find myself getting fatigued from just the sheer amount of voices I'm having to do and stuff like that. So it's a me problem again in that regard. But it does, I think, sometimes illustrate the larger like pacing flow, because I find myself going, oh, this section really flew by. Why was that? Oh, this, and this. They did such a great job with this and the storytelling, versus somewhere else where I'm like, I shouldn't be thinking about when I'm going to get, like, when I'm doing something. You know what I mean? Like, I should be so engrossed in what's happening, and the pacing should feel so right. And again, I truly think that in the grand spectrum of things, this is a very small complaint, and the way it comes together is phenomenal beyond all comprehension, belief, or understanding. Like, I truly don't know. I truly don't know how they pulled off everything they've pulled off in this game. But that was like my tiniest critique, that I was just kind of like, wow, when you really shine with these things, you really shine. Would have loved to see a little bit more maybe earlier on, if that makes sense.
So here's a question. So before the expansion came out, Yoshida talked about this new feature where NPCs will follow you around on quests. I think this is probably what I've seen is the most disliked thing in this expansion so far, because people feel like there's too much of that.
What? I love those.
So I was going to ask for opinions. Apparently Rook disagrees.
Yeah, I disagree as well. Because technically it's just go somewhere with a friend and, you know, talk to them along the way. And that seems fine to me. Like, I don't see an issue with that. And there are a few of them that I know of, you know, to keep spoilers to a minimum. There are a few of them that I know of that everyone will just freak out about in general anyway. You know, like, it doesn't matter. These are your friends, you know. Even the screenshot we got, the one screenshot we got when it was like 2 characters following you, we're like, wait, they're gonna, okay, that's cool. There's other types of content that I just never want to do again that they introduced in this one, and I never want to do those again. I just don't. And that's it. These were not it.
I don't know. Okay, I will ask everybody here, do we consider that Melvin's comment in the chat is a spoiler? I don't think it is. I don't think it is in any way, but I would address it if we all agree.
I think so. I agree with you.
Yeah, no, I don't. I mean,
but they tell us about it previously.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's not actually anything about story.
It's not earth-shattering for any game to have this kind of a thing. I think it's fine to talk about. I was actually like considering bringing it up myself. Because it's in this same vein, right? Where when I said this, I actually didn't mean when the NPCs follow you.
I don't think we should. Though.
No? Okay.
No.
All right.
Okay.
That's fair. That's fine.
Just because I do think it leads into other things that are opinion things that shouldn't be talked about.
Okay.
Sure.
Yeah, I will say that at its core, then all I'll say about it is that at its core, the actual, like, if we are only exclusively talking about the instances in which NPCs follow you and you are running around in a zone with them, right?
Yeah.
That specific thing.
Yeah.
I actually think it was incredibly clever and it works super well. Because as it is, you are already going to have to be running from place to place, right? And in any game ever, in any of the rest of the expansions, you have to run to the next NPC. Maybe you take Aetherytes, maybe you whatever. And I will say that there was one time that I think I lost an NPC by taking an Aetheryte just to cover a greater distance. And then I went, oh, dang it. And I had to go back.
Yeah, I did that.
Yes. So that was kind of frustrating. But in that exact same moment, I then followed the pathway that the NPC was on, and we had all these little spots where we stopped and we talked. And I learned so much about the specific lore of this building or this thing or their past. And to me, it makes the world feel less stilted, right? It makes it feel like it is a seamless thing that people and these characters that you love exist in. And you actually get more information about things, and you can see the incredible nuance and detail they put into not only building their characters, but also the world itself. And especially in an expansion where I think we have absolute standout environments that are so thoughtfully constructed, so ridiculously detailed. To me, it brings to life that journey so that it's, again, not just about the destination point. It is about the journey you take to get there. It's about the journey you take with everything. Now, outside of that specific use, I think there were some stumbling points in how they tried to innovate on this sort of technology that they introduced. But just the NPCs, I think was fun. And I'm glad too that they actually give you kind of a pathway with them. And you don't just have to run each NPC around the entire city just to see if they have dialogue somewhere else.
Yeah.
So I think they tailored it in a good way, honestly.
Right.
Yeah, I want to call
Other
out
than-
Dead Sage's comment in the chat. The amount of times that I jumped on a mountain, blasted away from the NPC who proceeded to get Thanos snapped. I've done that too. So I've teleported. I'm like, yeah, let's use the new Aethernet, and this will be great. It'll be quick. And oh, they're gone.
Nope.
Oh, hey, let's hop on the mount. We'll get over there a little quicker. And
never again.
You know. Okay.
I think that this delivery of little lore tidbits was far superior to run up to NPC, talk to NPC, and NPC tell you thing. You're walking around with a buddy who's like, this thing here, let me tell you about it. And for people who aren't into that, there are the basic spots. You go here, you go here, you go here, you're done. For people who really are into that, there's extra spots you can go and see the other information.
Yep.
So I thought the splitting that up was also
I mean, if you don't want that extra
really
stuff,
thoughtful.
you don't necessarily need to get it. I think what I would prefer though, because I don't think it shows it on the mini map, so you kind of have to
look for it.
Yeah.
walk around and look for it. Yeah, so like you could potentially miss something, which
There's
is
some
kind of a
FOMO
bummer.
there.
But
There's some FOMO there.
They're close to the path though.
They are.
Yeah.
They are
But if
usually
except for the first time.
they are usually within the direct line. You would intuitively kind of walk from place to place to get there, which is good. I mean, I did notice a few little goofs, NPCs hovering in the air on staircases.
Yeah, that's been a thing.
The mount thing, stuff like that. But overall, I think it's a really good addition. And I think they did address a lot in how they did it. Like you said, Zen, I love that you brought up the point that you don't have to engage with all of it if you don't want to. But if you do, you really learn something.
Boy, dangerous topics. Everything is dangerous.
What else? Jobs. We can talk about jobs.
Oh, sure.
Jobs are good.
Yeah.
Jobs are good.
They are
Jobs
very
are
good.
There's like the buttons on the hotbar. You like push the buttons and then they do the actions.
Yeah.
Cool stuff.
Feels good. So Summoner.
Yeah, you know I was bringing this up for you.
I know.
We're like,
so
jobs. No, like Summoner.
I am max level. So I have been messing around with it. I haven't gone into any real deal content other than what they have given you to start. You know, no like organized group or full party content. So it's fun. It is really, really fun. It feels really easy to understand and maybe a little bit too easy. Maybe a little boring at times, but I don't believe that will be true in really organized content. And I haven't been there, right? I haven't been in the content where you really have to set positions and you have to, you know, do this, do that, run out, come back. I think it's really going to change the tenor there because of the way you have kind of your, someone explained it as kind of a stoplight, which I will never not see it ever again because it's the red, the yellow, and the green. And that is kind of how mobile you are. Kind of a little bit.
That's cute.
Isn't it interesting? Garuda's like abilities that you spam are so fast, so incredibly fast. She's got one long, AoE that she can place down. Cool. Titans just basically run circles around them, but it's a full GCD instead of kind of the half that Garuda has. But everything, then you hit an OGCD, right? That's cool. And then Ifrit's like really long casts, and it's very jarring compared to the other ones. If you were like, I'm gonna switch to Ifrit, and you weren't thinking, you'd be like, and I have to move. Wait, right? This is a 3-second cast.
And Ifrit has a gap closer too, right?
Yeah.
So you have the longer cast, but then you have like that, like you're nudging because you're like, okay, it's gonna go green soon. You have that action too.
Yep. It's really gonna come down to the order, the fight script, the buffs of the party, right? Like, what is your burst? Is it this one? Is it this into that? Is it with Garuda, you put down the AoE and then you go into Titan because it does a lot, and then you finish with Bahamut in this fray. That's where it's going to be optimized. But it's very easy to play and it's very fun to play. people are going to need to turn those summons down. Like they're going to need to turn that summon. Yeah, they're very big. Sometimes Titan will come out.
I thought it was part of the fight. And I was like, this doesn't make sense. Realized you're a summoner.
Yeah,
Me too. Me too.
Titan is so large, and that's great. I mean, don't get me wrong, that's great. However, yeah, maybe it should have been defaulted to like medium for everybody else or something. I don't know what it's defaulting to, but it seems large.
I haven't done so. I've been doing everything with trust so far.
Yeah,
and in the stuff that I do or have party found, I haven't seen a single summoner. In any of my groups yet. I mean, which is, whatever, right? A lot of people are leveling the new stuff and they're taking that through Party Finder, right? And then they're doing the trust through the MSQ. Same as me. I get that.
Yeah.
So like, I haven't just had like a whole screen full of like Titan ass yet or anything like that. So
it will happen to you.
I'm sure it'll happen. Yeah. I'll just be like, what?
It will definitely happen. But, all in all, I think it's a great change. We'll have to just understand it. But, man, it is beautiful. It is very beautiful.
It's so thematically good.
And
it just works in that regard.
Yeah, it really does. It just works. And you start off, and the progression is pretty good from 80 to 90 as you get your abilities. Not the best. You're kind of waiting a little bit long for cool stuff, but it plays really well. I sometimes laugh maniacally when I go to a pack of mobs, and I'm like, oh yeah, that's right. My burst is just instant. From nothing, it's 2 buttons, and you could just hit something with 2,000 potency. Right then, here you go, 2,000 potency. Technically, like 2,500 or something, in like 2 GCDs. It's insane. It's dumb, but it's fun. So
Charles was showing off his AF to me last night.
Yeah.
I was like, that looks so good. So I switched over to Summoner 2, and I look at my bars, and I realized I haven't updated them probably since Heaven's Word. I still had miasma on there.
Yeah,
mine
might. I think I had geared it up a little bit in Shadowbringers, but I don't remember how far I got, because I think it was like I had leveled Scholar up, and I'm like, I might as well like set up the hot bar for Summoner, but now it's all going to be gone
because it's totally different now, so I can just relearn it like a new job.
Yeah, and honestly, I mean, I have heard from a lot of people, Aldino, and I love hearing your thoughts on it because I've been so curious. I can't wait to hear what you have to say once we get into actual endgame stuff or extremes. But I've heard from a lot of people that it does seem like the general consensus is that as far as players who were incredibly familiar with and skillful with previous Summoner, right? Or with MMOs in general, they have found maybe this new iteration to be, yes, I guess you could say a little bit on the easy side. But of course, we say that in the sense of like, I think that we have to take into account that it now, I think, is much more intuitive. The actual way that it plays, visually plays, works, the button contention. It's one of those things where it's like, previously, I think a lot of, in previous iterations of Summoner, the difficulty of learning and executing Summoner was that so much of it was unintuitive and made no sense. And that's how you had to play it. So I do think that like part of it has to do with the fact that they really have made it more intuitive. Part of it I also think is because they kind of started it from scratch. As again, we get into endgame content, we'll see how it goes. As they even add more skills down the road, I think that could be it. But I do think there is something to be, said about the fact that like, yes, if the skill ceiling has been brought too low, adjusting it up again would be good in some way, shape, or form in the future as they continue to get feedback. But I wanted to point out Miki's comment in chat because Miki mentioned my son is brand new to 14 and new to MMOs. He's playing Summoner with ease, no issues whatsoever. And I just wanted to reiterate that because I have seen so many people, even all of us here, talking about I haven't touched Summoner since Heavensward and I switched over to it, or I looked at it, or I knew somebody who's been playing this game for ages and, used to play Summoner and then really didn't like it anymore and fell back in love with it. And I think all of that is really a testament to redesigning it and giving it such a strong new thematic angle and making it more intuitive for more people to want to play. So I hope some of that complexity does start to show and shine, or they adjust if not. But I think overall it seems like it's been so good and so positively received in a way that matters for the actual playing of it, like large scale of people wanting to play Summoner.
I think it's important that it's well received too, because it means that they'll be more willing to work on other jobs in such a way as Scholar.
Yeah, well, I wanted to segue into Scholar. There is a hidden change that the Media Tour did not see either, and there's a lot of people who don't know about this now. When you hit Adlo or any shield, it happens before the cast goes off. The timing of it is when you press the button, it goes off, and then the heal goes off. Watch it for yourself. If you're in the game, like seriously, switch to Scholar, cast Adloquium on yourself, watch it go, the shield go onto you before the cast ends. That's a big, crazy change. Like, I don't think that that was the way it was before.
Basically, instant shield?
Instant shield.
That's important.
Yeah, like, what? It might be some weirdness with lag or something. Like, I haven't been able to test it, but I switched over to Scholar, and I was like, okay, well, I have a 90 Scholar because I have a 90 Summoner. Really wish that wasn't the case, but I'm a benefit from it. And I'm just like, okay, you know, get the AF, see how it looked, cast Adlo, see what the number is, and then it goes on me, and I have the effect, and then I see the number like literally 1.5 seconds later. That's weird. I don't know if that really means that, but it's interesting. And then the other thing is the pet, it just listens to you immediately. It also just does it. Now, there's still pet ghosting. Still happens on Summoner too. If you try and summon and the thing dies, sometimes Titan will come out and be like, I'm gonna, oh, you're gone. And you waste that ability. That's big deal. You're gonna have that, and other jobs won't waste the ability, right? Because you are doing it. But since the pet is doing that, it's always going to be a problem, you know? But they got it better and better. I actually really want to take Scholar into dungeons and see how it goes.
Do you?
I do.
It looks like chat is maybe saying that that's a change that they made for the entire shield healer category.
Yes, it is.
Forward.
Okay. It is.
So that kind of shielding and that proactive kind of thing is something that would be accounted into that. Yeah, I mean, it's interesting because I have not heard so much, and I'm very glad that upon the actual release of Endwalker, they did make some changes to help make it more distinctive between Scholar and Sage, right? Yeah. There really were some things that were straight up like copy pastes of Scholar's kit into Sage's kit initially, but they reworked some of those after Media Tour stuff. And it seems like they are now more distinctive. Now, of course, do I still think that, like Zen, they could definitely benefit from an aesthetic overhaul and stuff like that at some point? Yeah, it's 100%. I still do. But I do think that having healed now both, because I've been leveling Sage and I've got it up to 81, 82, I think. And I have been taking White Mage through the main story itself because it was my first class that I played and I just felt like it. And I've been raiding on it, so why not? I actually am very happy about the differences between shield healers and heal healers.
Oh, cool.
And I'm curious to hear what everybody else thinks. I don't know if you've gotten a big sample size yet, but it does truly feel like, and this was one of my greatest concerns about the actual healing potency and skills that would be available to shield healers. I was worried that if shield healers could heal just as much and shield and buff, there might be some problems. That if they were going to make these two categories, it really needed to feel like they were two distinctive play styles. And it does feel like that to me, having played both. It feels like I am much more screwed if I am a shield healer and I do not shield heal to the, I do not put shields on to the full capacity that I can. If I do not understand the way to use those shields, the damage that is dealt is oftentimes, not always, but oftentimes too much for me to recoup without blowing my entire heal kit. Like, it'll be too much. If I don't proactively do it, it is incredibly hard. If people get hit by too many things in like rapid succession, and I've already used my major heals, it is often a major tightrope walk to just try and shield somebody or keep somebody to the point where I can help them in that regard as far as pure health recuperation goes. So it really feels like you have to have a preventative, a proactive healing style with shield healers versus pure healers, where I definitely feel much more that I'm having to use more of my kit with the adjustments and rebalancing stuff and things like that to heal what would have previously been the same amount, just proportionally how I look at it and feel, and how one heal makes an impact on the health bar. It does feel like now I'm having to use more of my full kit to heal to max, but that there's actually a reason to have my full kit now if I'm not proactively shielding, because I actually have more damage to recoup and have to do, more with, especially in some of the dungeon tuning and things. So as a heal main, I'm actually pretty happy with this division. Like, it feels like they're different, and I find that satisfying.
As a summoner, I like when Phoenix is out, I'm like, I am ready to help. I have one hot that is a very good hot, and I have used it so often. so very often with people who are, at least seem to be very, tenured healers, right? You're looking at their gear, you're looking at what they look like. They're a pure healer, but even the pure healers need that help a little bit, right? Like you can see it, and it's like, okay, well, this is what we were hoping for, and we saw it.
Okay, so I have, I think, Sage at 75, and I got White Mage to 90, so I can't like truly compare at this point. But I absolutely agree. I have been having to actually heal more, just straight heal. Like, what is Cure 2? Oh yeah, this is Cure 2. I'm using you again. All over the place on White Mage. And then on Sage, there were even when I first picked it up and like went into Baja, shields, keep them up, shields.
Yeah.
I actually, the shield healer was pretty cool. I was never really a big fan of Scholar, but Sage is kind of fun. If you pick it apart, you can kind of lay it out on your bars the same way as White Mage, but it's definitely a different monster. I have a small story. Went into Labyrinth of the Ancients on a Alliance roulette. It was 5 sages and me on White Mage. We wiped to the Bone Dragon because none of them shielded anything.
Wow.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's another thing.
Granted,
That's happening right
it was the very first day. All of them had less than 24 hours with Sage, so I like, sure, that's fine.
Half of them are like, I don't even know what this button does. Let's just hit it and find out.
Exactly.
It's Bone Dragon. It's fine.
I feel like that really, really like drives home the point. Like, if you do not shield, if you do not have a shield healer, you are going to die. I did another one of the trials as a White Mage, and I had a Sage with me, and they, I don't know what they were doing. they were just like getting up and walking away from their computer a lot. Like, what are you doing? And there was an Akmorn type mechanic where everybody has to stand together and soak the damage, and there were no shields, and but like 60% of the time I couldn't heal through it. It was very rough.
You're gonna need your partner even more.
Yeah. Up until just now, when you pointed out that division difference, I was like, I became bad at White Mage overnight. Like, I wasn't a pro White Mage or anything, but I was passable, and now I'm bad. What happened? What happened to me? No,
it's the
I need a shield healer.
And I mean, honestly, everybody's having to relearn it. Even tanks, like,
oh yeah,
there have been times where I've been on stream recently where we were leveling Sage and stuff because we were doing new spoiler streams. And oh gosh, we were in Elf Dungeon, Magical, Whimsical, Grand Cosmos. We were in Grand Cosmos, and I have never had to really be that intense about Grand Cosmos. And I was running Sage on it, and it was the first time I'd made it to that like 80 bracket on Sage, and we died. Our Dark Knight, who's a friend of mine, was trying to like do big pulls like normal. I'm trying to grapple with a kit that's still not fully instinctual to me. But again, everybody's sense of just how much this does or reduces or that does, it's just slightly different now. But like you pointed out, and Zen, I think this was such a great observation you made. It really does feel like at this level, there is a serious need for possible future endgame to have both a shield and a pure healer. That you literally have to have something to help absorb the damage, and then something that can actually recoup the damage. And then, you kind of work off of that to sort of spot this bit or that bit, or now I've got something that I can do to help supplement if you need a second. It feels like we could be in a really fantastic place to see that actually be something that matters and is relevant and will be needed for endgame stuff. One thing I did want to talk about, though, is that, and I didn't know if any of you had heard this, and this is relevant because at least Zen, Aldiano, and I were progging T before this change. Apparently, it is now impossible to clear T because the numerical adjustments made it such that no one, not even with tank limit break 3, not even with shields, not even with reductions, not even with pots, is able to survive the hit of the phase transition into the next phase of the fight.
That's amazing.
I mean, it's terrible.
Yeah.
It's actually really bad.
Yeah.
And the reason that it's really bad is because the ultimate community was already very mad that they weren't getting an ultimate.
Yeah.
And now they can't even actually re-clear one of the ultimates that's in the game. So I don't know if this is, I don't know, again, like I haven't experienced it firsthand.
Yeah.
But I've heard it from I've heard it from people that I trust what they're saying, you know what I mean? And I assume that they, understand. So, that's pretty bad.
Yeah.
But I really hope that they just go in and adjust those fights specifically
Mhm.
and not completely nullify the tuning they've done on healers across the board and other content.
Yeah.
Because that I really do actually think we are in a good, satisfying place. Like, maybe you could up a tiny bit the healing on shield healers, like maybe, but like, honestly, I think that, again, if we're separating them as two distinct things, right now we have that. And it's kind of exciting to see that, honestly. So I hope they maybe just adjust what's happening with Ultimate. And
I hadn't heard
just
about
I
that.
hadn't heard
at
that either.
all.
That's
and
crazy.
I was going to say,
Yeah.
all the old content that I've done currently feels the same or easier than it was prior to. I was going to say the stat squish feels like they did a perfect and or maybe overtuned job.
Maybe
They really
just...
made it sound like things were going to go back to their original difficulty, and they did not.
I don't
Things are the
feel
same or
like that
easier.
at all. Yeah.
I think maybe they just went, okay, Ultimate, it's going to take a lot to balance with all the stuff that we did. But I wish that they would have said it, right? Because they said, you're not going to get an Ultimate for a while.
Yeah.
I don't remember them saying anything about that because they were trying to allay all the fears for the stat squish. But just a note, like, hey, Ultimates, we'll get to them. But like, when we give you that Ultimate, we'll rebalance these. Just chill for a bit.
Yeah, it is a little surprised that didn't come up, and I wonder if they did know and didn't say anything, or if that's just kind of something that happened and got overlooked. I mean, it makes me think of when they revamped Machinist, but there's that Machinist job quest that's like, you need to use this action, and it like didn't exist anymore, and they're like, oh shit, like, oops.
Yeah.
Like that's
happened.
what it feels like to me, right? It's a little different because it's like an entire Ultimate fight, but it's like, it's kind of one of those like, oh shit, we can't clear that. Oh, our bad. Like, we'll fix it.
Yeah, I mean, it's very likely would be my guess, right? And it could have also been that content was extremely low on their priority list for testing. They may have even tested it on one of the other Ultimates and then just assumed the tuning would work for the others. It's something there where it feels like it was an oversight, but again, because they had a new expansion coming out, I truly think they were probably like, Ultimates are the bottom of the list because people in theory should be playing the new stuff and new players should be playing the old stuff. So this outlier content that, again, you only get to if you've done all this other stuff and gotten ready, and if you're in this niche community, right? Yeah. It's like, I'm sure it was one of the lowest priority checks, and it probably, again, maybe they tried something else or they just didn't get to, or whatever, or who knows, maybe they got into it and they were like, oh yeah, the number feedback is going good, but they didn't make it to the first phase transition or something.
Right.
Like, yeah,
they got into it, they were like, oh crap, we need more servers, and they took out the Ultima dev server to put into lobby servers.
Right. I mean, it could be something as simple as that, like, it is going to limit their testing a little bit too, not having these servers. So yeah, it's a shame. I really thought you were going to say something about Sage and Dark Knight after going through there, because Sage and Dark Knight,
oh my
that
God,
combination
it's a nightmare.
is a problem.
It's
that is
actually,
a problem.
like, I really mean this. It's actually terrible.
It is
like,
a problem.
I had to tell my friend who's a Dark Knight to just not use Living Dead, because I was like, it will be a 50-50 chance that you will die if you use it. And I was just like, maybe if we were on voice comms, if we were, you know what I mean? And we specifically said, okay, for this next one, I have planned for you to use Living Dead. Oh, I'm so glad you brought that up, Aldina. Please keep going. But it is actually terrible.
Yeah, because I happened to watch that Grand Cosmos you did. I was in the chat for that because I was in the queue. I was like, I'll watch this because I know you're not going to do spoilers. See, just showing what we said earlier. But yeah, I was watching that and I was thinking and looking at Sage's kit, and yeah, I think that it's counterintuitive to spam a shield and remove it immediately, but that's what you got to do. Like, you got to hit Pepsis. You have to, and that's the only way you're ever going to get there. So if that's on cooldown because you used it before, I mean, it's 30 seconds, so it's not that big a deal. But your triple heals are not going to do it.
Exactly. And if that 30 seconds just hits it at the exact right time, and like, same thing, and it depends too on what level threshold you're at, because there are certain times and later on where you have more you can work with. But when you are at certain level thresholds where you can't always proc that bonus thing you need to proc. You can't always do this thing to recoup.
Right.
And you literally have gone through all of your resources and you're sitting there like, and your Dark
Sorry,
Knight's
you
looking
dead.
at you like, you gonna heal me? And you're like,
Nope.
no.
Sure aren't. Have fun.
No, I won't.
The
I
same
don't
thing
have
happened to me
anything.
on White Mage with a Dark Knight in one of the very last dungeons. They pop Living Dead, and I'm like, you are dead. I'm sorry. I know my friend is not a bad Dark Knight. They had learned the new job stuff fairly well as far as I could tell, but I had more trouble healing them than any other tank type the whole time I've been leveling White Mage. And just like as soon as they hit it, I was like, I don't have anything. You're dead. I'm really sorry.
Yeah.
I don't have benediction because I used
people
it
don't
all
carry
on you
high pots
already,
with them
keeping you
anymore.
alive.
What?
Yeah, you need that high pot. Right?
I mean, yeah, honestly, it is brutal. It's brutal. And to be completely honest, I don't know why they didn't change Living Dead for this expansion.
Yeah.
It's tough because Living Dead is one of the strongest. It's the highest risk, highest reward, right? It's the longest. So the amount of things that you can pull off while that nullification is active, it makes sense that they wanted to give it some kind of drawback. So the drawback is that if you are not healed to essentially or close to full within the time limit, you will automatically die. And it's like, it's great from a thematic standpoint. It's great for roleplay. You can just squeeze out all the dramatic juices of that ability, and it's so good. You just have a lot of things you can do with it. But as far as actual practicality goes in this game, I think it's a genuine hurdle. Before anything with Sage, it was already a hurdle because there is nothing at any point in this game that tells healers, like, hey, in your little sprout tutorial for healing, guess what? Tank cooldowns come in a variety of shapes and sizes. One of them will kill your tank. And you're like, nobody tells you that. So you can go through all content. This is a shameful story, and I'm going to tell it. I'm not going to lie. I had never co-healed in any kind of static. I mean, I had done endgame content. I did anything. I'd never had a Dark Knight. When I got to Titania X, I had Dark Knights. I was on White Mage. I didn't understand fundamentally how Living Dead worked because I'd never truly researched it. I had only ever healed with other things. Titania X hits in Shadowbringers. Anytime I was getting a Dark Knight, they would die during that orb phase where they had realized that they could cheat the duration of the, the tether orb thing.
Yeah.
And they would die. And I was like,
Wow.
I don't know why you die there, but you die. You must probably not know how to tank good. And then one run, somebody said to me, why, like, they were mean, they were angry, but they were like, why the hell didn't you use benediction on me? And I was like, you know what? I could get prickly or I could just ask. And I was like, why would I use benediction there? And I was like, I really mean this. I'm not being sassy with you. Why would I? And they were like, do you not know how Living Dead works? And I went, no. and they told me. And suddenly I was flipping through every moment in my mind of every other failure I'd had with every other tank. And I went, Dark Knight, Dark Knight. That one was a Dark Knight. That one was a Dark Knight. And I went, oh my God.
This slow running montage just starts playing in Rook's head like,
I was so embarrassed.
It all
I was
makes sense now.
genuinely embarrassed because I had never thought. I had never put two and two together. Why would I? All the other tank things, Gunbreaker goes down to 1. That's fine. I heal them. They're fine. So I was hitting these tanks with heals. I had no idea that I needed to heal them above a threshold because nothing had told me to do it in the game. And I was end game raiding. Like, this is a thing. You know what I mean? So I use that story in my own embarrassment to illustrate why it is an unfair thing to have in the game, especially for new healers. Yes. Because nobody's going to get it. No one understands. It sticks out like a sore thumb. And then you have things now like Sage, classes that are literally designed at a point in the game where they've done this split in healers that do not have what they need in their kit to deal with it. And I truly don't think that they should have. I don't think they should have something like a benediction.
Definitely not.
I don't think they should, So it's like, change the ability. Like, make it so that, I don't know, it's different somehow.
I have a story for you that's going to make you feel better. I'll make it short. During Coil, I had a friend who was in a static where they kept telling the scholar, please use Lustrate. Please use Lustrate here. You are this person is dying, just use lustrate. It's so simple. Weeks and weeks and weeks of this. And finally they like took them by the face and were like, why aren't you using lustrate? What's that? What do you mean, what is that? It's an ability, and it makes their HP go like this.
Yeah.
Fill completely up. Oh, I thought you were just babbling. No.
Yeah, it seems.
That is your most powerful, like, yes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's.
Yeah.
Anyway, yeah,
I
does
don't
that make
know.
you feel
Oh.
better?
It does.
It's hard, you know, everybody has to get the knowledge and it's all new, but Living Dead, yes, has always been a weird thing. And you know, that segues into tanks. Man, I want to talk to Dark Knights. I really want to know. Because, you know, I've been trying not to spoil myself, you know, so I haven't been watching a lot of you know, like random content, but I really want to know how Dark Knight's doing, because I know how Warrior's doing, because I look at them and I go, do you need healing? I don't think
No.
you do.
Mm-mm.
I don't think you do. Like Paladin, you'll just heal me. Like I don't even need to look at you. Like you're fine. Gunbreaker, you're out there blasting. Like you don't care either. Like you're fine too. So I really want to know how Dark Knight's going.
At first, listening to my friends who were playing Dark Knight,
Mhm.
they were bumming. They were like, we didn't really
Yeah.
get anything new. All these other tanks
Yeah.
got new stuff. And people were like, well, I mean, Dark Knight was in a good place. You didn't really need anything new. And they're like, but you know, I wanted something new.
Right.
Everybody else got a shiny new toy. And then as I approach end game-ish content at this point with trying to heal Dark Knights, I'm like, maybe you did need something
Mhm.
new.
Mhm.
Oh no.
Yeah. I mean, there was such an emphasis on the Blackest Night, right? I mean, you know, yeah, it's real powerful, but now every tank has something like that. But Dark Knight didn't really get. I mean, they got something cool-ish, but not in the same vein. So I don't know. I really don't know. We'll have
Yeah.
to see.
Hmm.
Yeah. It's tough.
Ah.
It really takes pretty much every single thing that you have in that Sage kit to deal with it.
Mhm.
So, I mean, again, I hope they don't do something like, I really think where they have it feels pretty good for the
Yeah.
shield healer, pure healer. So I hope instead they maybe just adjust some of those things, like, you know, making it
Mhm.
not an insta kill if you don't get healed above the threshold or something, or allowing shields to count for being,
Mhm.
you know, above that threshold. Or I don't know what they could do. I'm not sure, but I think they need
You know
something in
what?
there.
I would say, because thinking about Sage, a lot of the like instant stuff, the heals, whatever, also give like a damage mitigation, like 10%. So you can roll 10% damage mitigation on a person like basically the whole time. What if that translated to healing up when they're in Living Dead or something? Because like that's the problem that I'm seeing with shield healers, is that they are so proactive, they are so about avoiding damage, but Living Dead is the one time you cannot
They
avoid
can't deal with actual.
the full amount. Yeah, it's the one true damage there is in the game, basically. Because you take basically what accounts to your entire health and damage. That's what you have to get healed back. There is no way to mitigate that. There's no way to change it. That's a big number sometimes.
Yeah.
They could do that, maybe.
Yeah, and I
Maybe.
mean, at the very least on Gunbreaker, although it is still a butt-clenching moment,
Mhm.
you do know that, like, they will not die if you
Yes.
have not hit that health threshold, right? So if you're shielding them, if you're hitting them with, oh, is it Haima that's the big multi-shield and the,
Yeah, I think so.
like, the consumed one that has the stacks? If you're hitting them with something that you know will at least just cushion the damage until that next thing is happening, you at least have a sliver. As opposed to, yes, literally just looking at a Dark Knight, looking at what you have, and then going, you will die here. I can't even, you know, it's one of those things where I don't think that you should ever have a moment, especially in the relationship between tanks and healers, where a healer in content looks at what they have and, for whatever reason, because of the design of the class, you know, and or the ability that the tank is using, looks and has that, where there literally is no solution to the problem. Like, you look at it and you're like, yeah, well, this isn't just that I overlooked something, it's that I genuinely don't, there's nothing for me, and
I
you
got
used it
nothing.
here. So, okay, bye-bye, I'll res you, I guess.
This is where you die.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. In that situation that happened to me with White Mage, the tank used Living Dead. I could have filled them up. They died, and both of the ranged people, well, both the melee people who were there, started running away. And I'm like, I can't heal you if you're running away from me. I know you guys have been playing this game for 6 years. What are you doing?
Yeah,
Yeah, it's
It was a
spicy. It's
time.
spicy.
It
spicy.
was a time.
Well,
So I hope they just change it. I guess this brings me to a question I wanted to ask all of you. The question is, how do you feel about the class you've taken through, your main class?
yeah, that's what I
How
wanted
do
to
you
ask.
feel about the new stuff? Aldino on the same page.
I feel good. I've been doing Dragoon because again, it was like my OG class, right, going through 14. So, you know, and I felt this way with the media tour too. I don't think anything has changed. It still feels really good to be able to go from your single target combo to your AOE combo. I haven't played a lot with the end cap or the capstone ability yet, just because I haven't played too much since I hit 90. But I mean, it again, right? It works the same way as it did, you know, a couple months ago. So it feels really good. I've gotten machinist up to 85. And got scattergun, which is basically just an upgraded AOE, but it also gives heat gauge. So that's really cool. That's really fun, and I love the animation for it, where he just holds the gun and you see the shell like fly out of the gun as he cocks it in one hand and then shoots it. Yeah, it's really good so far. I've been really liking the changes to it.
Dancer feels clunky.
Mm,
And it's partially because of old muscle memory.
sure.
Right now, when you hit flourish, it gives you 2 or 2 instead of all 4 of your procs. So you either get the first single target or AoE, or second single target or AoE. And because the way you used to want to do it is pop out your AoEs first, just in case you had to run away, I keep hitting those and screw myself over. So that's annoying. Hopefully I'll unlearn that soon. The new abilities are really cool, except that they're conal and linear, and I've never had that before. I have to do a lot more targeting than I have to used to do, which is annoying, but again, I guess I'll get used to it. The whole thing where I thought we would be able to switch back and forth from single targets to AoEs only works on the procs. So if I hit the first AoE and get the second AoE proc, I do not have the second single target proc. I have to then hit that second AoE, even if there's only one thing left, to try and get the tertiary proc. So there are some good things. Right now it feels clunky because it's new, and I have not had the opportunity to try a true opener, so I haven't had anything line up very well. And the way that way Dancer works is you do your big dance and you just throw everything you have, right? It used to feel really smooth to throw all of that out now, and because half of that stuff is new and I haven't had the chance to sit down and just do the opener, I'm like, I forgot that button, which makes this happen. Oh, I think it's all out. I don't know. And then I feel like I just did a really bad job. So I feel like once I get the pattern down again, it'll be better. But right now, because it does feel so similar but so different, I'm just like, this isn't my favorite brand of peanut butter. Oh, this one has nuts in it. You know, I don't know. I have been working with Bard a little bit. Bard's in a really good place.
Yeah,
Procs,
it looks that way.
I didn't realize this, but procs aren't tied to dots anymore.
They
They're
are
just not.
not.
They're just not. I went into a dungeon right before the maintenance, and we were like racing through this dungeon, so I didn't put dots on anything as we're trying to kill all this stuff really quickly, and stuff was still proccing, and I was going, this is really cool. This is so good. I'm still spent, and like, oh my gosh, Reign of Death / Bloodletter comes up so much on group packs. It's so crazy. It's very nice. It's very
I've heard
nice.
nothing
It's
but
very
good
tempting.
things. There's been a couple people who've said that they were kind of, I think, upset that the, crit procs didn't give you something now from the dot gameplay. And a lot of people that were like, they're just trying to remove all the dots from the game and stuff like that. And I was like, I don't think that's it. I really do think they're trying to trim down what classes use dots so that there is more reason to have those classes. And it makes sense for something where, it's like, oh, hey, well, we have this ticking damage and this high mobility. We can do, like, that gives us a little bit of a niche, right? That we can do more over time, even facing high mobility fights and stuff like that. And I mean, just like you're pointing out, Zen, if you have bad procs, you curse it just as much as having no procs. If your damage threshold varies so much based off of something that you have no real control over, it can be really frustrating. Like, to have something that's more measured I think does just work, and it adds a lot of fun things, the extended dot duration and things for Bard as well. I think, again, just it helps you not have to micromanage that facet as
Oh my
much, the new
gosh.
buff, all
Yeah.
that kind of stuff.
So good.
Yeah, people seem to be really liking it.
I didn't think
Mhm.
15 seconds would make a difference, but it does. It
Mm.
just makes everything feel more fun, and you get so much longer with each different proc-based thing, you
Mhm.
know? And it always felt like once you got to the end of each one, you're like, gotta get all this shit out so I don't miss anything. And now you feel like you have more time in the middle to actually like look at the fight and not step on an
Mhm.
AoE and maybe do some raid calls or this,
Yeah.
that, and the other. And I'm just it feels better. And it's dumb that it's just the proc thing is gone and you have a little bit more time with each thing. I don't
Yeah.
know.
Yeah, mine, it's funny, White Mage I feel like is the opposite of the dancer experience because it's White Mage. That's it. I do heals. I have a big benediction. I've got I just wanted to see Fusion's slight disappointment in me as I said that. It feels fine. I mean, here's the thing. It's funny because they really didn't do a whole lot, I think, to White Mage. I don't think they really needed to be completely honest. It was in a good place coming off of Shadowbringers. I think they reworked the issues with the Lily gauge. You know, if anything, my problem a lot of times was that I had too much healing for the majority of content in my kit. I didn't even need it. I didn't even really need to use lilies if I didn't have to or didn't feel like it. I'd blow them sometimes even when everybody was full just to murder people with my blood lily. So now having the adjustment with stuff, it does make it feel like White Mage gets to shine more for what it just already was doing. The amount of health that I can recoup, the amount of things that I can do, I really have not felt punished by the fact that Thin Air now only applies to the next cast. It refreshes so much and it has 2 charges that honestly, if you're just using it on stuff that's like a big MP cost or on a res or on whatever, you're very likely to not really have that many issues. I mean, a size still gives you MP, all that other stuff,
Yeah.
you know? So it's like, if you're still in the flow and you trained yourself to be proactive about using the things that you have in your kit that are mana, you know, recoups or reductions, it's fine. I haven't noticed it. We'll see if I have a different opinion when we get to Savage or if we,
Yeah.
you know, get back to Ultimate again. So that's the only place where I think it would really matter. Otherwise, I feel like White Mage finally, at last, feels like the king of pure healing. And maybe this is different with Ast, because I actually haven't played any Ast yet. And Astrologian, from what I saw in the media tour, also in a super, super, super ridiculously good place, such a good place. And the stuff that I had seen for it looked like it was going to absolutely decimate. So it might be that it, again, with its buffs and stuff, really does overpower White Mage by comparison. But just from playing White Mage, it feels good. I haven't gotten the capstone ability yet, although I'm close. And unfortunately, I really think that's the only exciting new thing, really. I mean, the other stuff is fine. The extra charges, fine. The Aqua Veil, fine.
Yeah.
But again, it does not feel... This feels like the expansion in which I almost forget that anything new came to my class. And it's not necessarily an amazing thing, but I do think that the context of the rest of the changes makes it feel like what I'm already doing is more significant. So I don't think it needed much. It would have been interesting to see it get a little more spice, but you know, some expansions you just don't get quite as much as other ones.
Right.
Yeah.
And the Lily Bell is super neat, and I think the other stuff, I mean, they're good things to have in your kit. It's just nothing that, again, really changes how you play in a significant way, or that, like, really adds a lot of spice to the whole mix. So, yeah, it's good. I mean, I just have a soft spot for White Mage, so I was happy to take it through.
I really like the double venison. Especially
Yes.
in dungeons, because it's like, here's your dungeon venison. We've arrived at the spot where everyone will AoE everything into oblivion. Here is your that venison. I will holy now.
Leave me alone. I must holy.
New Holy is the most beautiful disco
It's
ball.
very
Nice.
pretty. It's very
Oh, it's
Yeah.
so
New
good.
New actions have such great animations to them. They
Oh,
really
yes.
do.
Oh
the
man.
freaking glare though, like I love the animation for the glare, but it sounds like a child's toy to me when it comes up. It's got like a little jingle squeak.
Well,
Like a
I mean,
child's toy.
that's kind of the White Mage thing. I've always liked the little, like, bells on a stick sound of
Yeah.
White Mage, where you use something and it's like, tinkle, 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 and then you use your big thing. I mean, the one thing is that I guess Benediction has that, like, Well, because usually it counts as a major heal, so whatever sound benediction makes, usually all you're hearing is that
Joel.
good sound of like pa-ching, where it goes all the way up. But yeah, it's they've always had a little bit of that bell theme.
Yeah, it's weird getting the upgraded what is it, chaos thrust now, where you get like there's even like more kind of like cherry blossom looking things.
Yeah,
it's got this new sound to it, which is like I it's hard to even describe, but it just, you're just like, okay, this is on a class that's like talking dragoon, yeah, and it's like this kind of little whimsically like windy. It's a weird sound, and it's like it doesn't seem quite like it melds well with what you would consider the job identity of dragoon to be, but like it looks cool, so all right.
Yeah, I wish they would just replace the cherry petals with like a blizzard or something, and have it be some kind of Halone thing, or like
dragon scales or something.
Yeah, dragon scales would work. Just make them green. Everybody's gonna be like, "Oh, they scales," you know? Like, yeah, it's kind of weird.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A note about Summoner, because I already talked about it, so I'm not going to go crazy about it. But, and this segues into another thing that is not spoiler: Embody, the audio thing. Did anyone else get it?
I had not tried that yet. No.
I have it.
Okay.
And I played through the entire MSQ with it.
Do
tell.
These are the custom made headphones, right? Just to give everybody a bit of
it's a plugin. It's a plugin. It's an audio plugin that will make your existing headphones give more of like a 3D effect.
Okay, perfect.
I sent them a picture of my ear. That's fine. I'm okay with that. I mean, I'm streaming right now. Like, it's like,
well, you just took it off of your OnlyFans page. I mean, you already had the picture, right?
It's true.
So,
I mean, I was prepping it. That's why. There's knees as well. Ooh. You know, we'll see where it goes. But
stop it! I'm blushing.
The sounds, the like sound effects of Summoner through that are where your summon is, and that is so useful to me. That is so incredibly useful to me, because one of the problems, but good things about Summoner is you're gonna summon the thing, right? But it has to go to where it's gonna do it, because Titan is an AoE that's a circle. So he walks his ass up sometimes. Like, if you're very far away, he just doesn't appear next to him. He appears where the carbuncle is, which is next to you now, usually, unless you place. I think you can still place. I haven't really done content that needs that. But just hearing, like, running away from a mechanic and hearing it go off behind me, I'm like, okay, it didn't ghost. I'm okay with that. I know exactly what's happened. I know, like, that keeps my cadence up. It's just interesting. Music, I would say, you can pick out the parts a little better. I did not expect that. But in some of the more, let's say, layered tracks, you can kind of pick out instruments where I don't think I would have. I haven't done the kind of A/B test, you know.
Okay,
but I'm going to start doing that.
That was going to be my next question. Yeah, if you've
I've
played
only
a lot
done
with
that.
out.
Only chilling in one of the cities, basically. Only chilling in the city and kind of turning it on and off, and I can really hear the instrumentation. And once again, not a spoiler, we saw this in the media tour of Old Charlian. Oh my goodness, that guitar through there is nice. Real nice. Yeah. So, you know, it's not, I don't think it's necessary. I don't know that you need to spend that money on it. There's a free trial. I just bought it because I was like, I don't care. It's fine. I'll buy it. I will see how it goes.
I mean, it's not that expensive. I mean,
no, it's like $20, I think.
Yeah.
But I just wanted to try it. I am interested to try it with a better, One time, yeah. Like there's no subscription
thing.
Right. Yeah, nope. It's a one-time.
It just gives you a license.
Cool.
Yeah, you like have to do some stuff to get it to know that it's your license, but then you're done. I think that people with good audio setups, I mean, audiophiles will want it 100%. Like, if you have a DAC, or you have like an external powered like headphone, or you got some, you know, like really good stuff, try it out. I mean, you didn't need me to tell you that, but definitely try it out. So I would say it's okay. I can't wait to hear it on other jobs, because it does get kind of wild. It can get really loud if you have everyone's effects on. Oh my goodness, I'm surrounded by explosions constantly.
Yeah, I would love to hear people's experience with the new Embody stuff. If anybody listening picks it up and tries it out, let us know what you think. Join us in chat, email, Twitter, Discord, whatever. I would be really curious to see, because I know that there's some like really big audiophiles out there that something like this could like be a game changer, and I'm really curious to see people's thoughts on it.
Yeah, I mean, these are studio reference headphones, but they're kind of small. They're not externally powered. It's only a 3.5 jack. It's like I'm not going to hear the best of it, but they're okay.
Yeah.
But yeah, I can't wait to hear what people with really good rigs say about it.
So we talked about Sage a little bit earlier. We haven't talked about Reaper yet.
Yes, we need to get into that.
Oh, good point.
Who's been playing Reaper?
I leveled it a bit. I leveled it a little bit. Anybody else?
I've got mine to, I think, 75.
Nice.
I love, and I think I popped into your chat, Rook, and I was telling you, I love how broken it feels in Fates. Because if you just AoE spam, so you have on Reaper, there's the thing that like buffs your damage, but then there's the thing too, like when a mob dies, it'll also like replenish your gauge a little bit.
Yeah.
So if you like spam that in a Fate where there's just like a lot of enemies, you can just constantly spam like your strong hitting AoEs, and it feels so broken, and I love it.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. The thing is, I've heard people kind of talk a little bit about Reaper, like they've talked about Summoner, I guess, in that I think there's a smaller group of the community, but I mean, still a very valid group. It's good to hear their thoughts and opinions, who especially use it in high end game kind of content or stuff like that, or would be interested in, who feel like it falls into the category of maybe being too straightforward or too simple. It's funny to me because I actually think that between Sage and Reaper, when I was first looking at them and I was looking at their tooltips and I was looking at everything, the one that seemed far more inaccessible to me was Reaper, because I was like, and then that does this, but then and then proxy, and then if I do that, and then I have to go back and forth because it'll do damage boost. And
there's a lot of like this procs this changes ability into that. Like it is very like, as you look at the tooltips, you're like, what?
But between those two, I actually find it much more natural and easier when you're playing it to put together the pieces of Reaper. But I truly believe that's because, again, they have nailed the flow of this class and the visual flow of this class. The colors that are affiliated with the gauges that are affiliated with this set of procs that does this thing, and these things light up when you do that. It, in and of itself, helps to guide you through the natural built-in flow of this class. And it is so fun to play. Like, I don't like melee classes. They are usually my most hated to play. I'll be completely honest with everybody. I kept telling myself, I'll do it. I'll fall in love with them someday because I like little nitty gritty things and figuring out puzzles. And then every time I'm on that boss's butt and I'm like, why am I here right now? How did I get here? I regret everything that I did. And so the only class that ever spoke to me was Ninja, because I did like the little mini game and I liked, some of the stuff that it has in it. I think Ninja's really fun. Reaper made me excited to play a melee. I mean, I got into it. The flow, the unique possibilities and capabilities of that teleportation, the feel of it. I really love how it plays. And while I'm sure there are some who might, there's little nitty gritty things and critiques about it, to me, it just feels like you are flying and you're playing a melee and it's enjoyable and it's so fun. And I like the aesthetic and I think the effects look great. And like, it does have a great natural flow that just for me, at least, clicked. And I thought by far with my experience as a healer, Sage would click like that. And Sage has been far more arduous for me to figure out and put together. Not that it's not still really fun, because it is, but it doesn't like fly. A lot more of it is, oh my God, we died. Okay, I'll put 2 of those on next time, I guess. Whereas Reaper, I think, is again built to be more of a natural visual flow that just has a very strong sense of, here is how you go through this, and this is how you do it. And I think designing some classes like that is more than fine, and I really like it.
I think it works well. I think the only detriment, I mean, and this honestly is when you could apply to all the classes, is that what is unlocked at what level, right? You could go to older content and it just feels weird. Like one right now, when you basically get access to like your teal abilities, like you hit one and you get the lines appear, around the one action, like you could combo it, but like it doesn't do anything. So why would it even have those lines right now if at that level, like it feels weird. Like it's like you're doing something wrong, but like it doesn't do anything. Like, so that's kind of weird. I wish that they would do some kind of adjustment there, but from what I've been playing of it, I love it so far. So I think once I get my machinist done, I'll probably get my Reaper up to 80, and then kind of start farming fates a little bit more on Reaper and get that worked up, because I think it's been really fun so far.
I haven't touched it.
Yeah,
Okay.
I was doing MSQ. I was gonna say the same thing. I was doing
That's
MSQ.
fair. Yeah,
and then my favorite melee right now is Ninja. So I just tried to level it. I'm like 80 and most of the way through. But then again, I've gone to Zad nor done any of that. You know, I'm just doing the roulette. But from what I have seen in use in higher level content, right? Not organized play, but higher level content. And with, you know, just an eye on how much, you know, damage the boss is taking. No other way to find out how much damage people are doing. No way. You know, there's no other way. It's interesting to me how Reaper looks when you're looking at kind of the burstiness. It's in a place that I don't think any other of the other melees are. Like what you're saying with the AoE burst. Oh boy, in dungeons. Oh yeah. They are. Oh yeah.
And this is even before what was that ability? That Harvest Moon ability.
So and
where you can like just like start off like a pole with like just big like what? It's so
that
good.
Slaps. Let me tell you, that slaps. Holy crap!
It was that like giant light bulb tour in the media tour when I realized like how that could work. I was like, ooh.
If you are a sage in a Dark Knight, look for a Reaper and a Summoner for your DPS, because then you won't have to stay alive for longer. I'm just saying.
There you go.
Like they are going to murder those mob packs. That's it. That is all. That's just what I'm saying. Like, you know, Ninja has that burst as well from time to time. Dragoon is going to be burstier. Samurai has a little bit more control. So people are changing, but man, Reaper is crazy.
Yeah. Well, I mean, Dragoon too. Their new capstone is another it's a line AoE, but it's another like piercing thing. So, I mean that'll just build naturally too. So I mean there's a lot of really cool AoE type changes.
I can't wait to see where we land. Yeah.
Like I said, I haven't touched it, but across the board, everybody has said it's really fun. I've not heard a single person be like, I don't like Reaper. It's not any good. Everybody says it's fun.
It is fun. This is a random side note, but kind of connected. Reaper's aesthetic's so good, but also I have to say, Sage's sounds are so fun.
They
top tier.
They are so different than anything else we have in the game, and all of the like, I don't know, there's something so nostalgic about it from like other games and menu sounds and interfaces, but like all the little technological like boop 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 boop, like it just is so fun. I love it. It makes me smile, and I just wanted to say that before we went through all the new classes.
They should go through and just make a class that's just literally all the menu sounds from previous Final Fantasy games as like the action and ability sounds.
Oh, it'll be mime.
Amazing.
It'll be mime.
Yeah, there you go.
That makes sense to me.
Yeah.
Has anybody tried Monk?
No. I want to. I have heard similar things to Summoner. Like, it's a bit easy, but also people are like, also it's clunkier than before somehow. And it's like, what?
The two
Go ahead.
monks that I know, including the one in our static, not happy.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
So-
great.
Yeah.
It's
And one of them is like, I keep doing positionals. I don't have to do them. I can't stop doing them.
yeah.
I think I think the case for a lot of people right now too is they're still going through growing pains, right? It's trying to get out of that muscle memory of playing a certain way. So, you know, come back in a month and we'll see how we are.
Well, I think the thing about Monk is, even though they simplified it, they did not, from what I've heard, haven't done it myself. They didn't really give it any sort of damage overhaul. So they still feel like they're doing work for nothing in comparison to other melee classes.
Which is the
as
worst
opposed
feeling.
to making those more simplified things that you could then possibly reach a higher threshold of damage for, right? But you had to work for it and build off all the other stuff. So they never like actually adjusted the base potencies, is what I understand from that.
Yeah.
That it's like the actual core stuff, now that it's simplified down, doesn't have the same proportional impact as other DPS.
Yeah,
That's
I
what
think
I'm
per button
hearing.
press.
Okay.
Yeah, because heard this a lot with Samurai when it first came in. It's like they don't have to do any work. Why am I over here dying as a ninja? Oh my god, my opener. And then you chill for a bit. But yeah, I definitely thought that would be the case, and as we said around the media tour, perfect balance and the way that it works is they're still figuring out the best way, right? I have heard some absolutely anti any sort of fun things to do with that, like, well, you got to mess up once on purpose to then get it over here, and then that means you don't use all your cooldowns for the opener, you use it for the next. And I'm like, no, that does not work in this game. That is not how this game works. Like, you have to line up your buffs. Like, what are you talking about? And maybe it is better, but the fact that they have to think about that is like, no, something's gone wrong there. But I don't know. I haven't played it. I don't know. I cannot wait.
They like it.
Mhm.
And Celio, hopefully I said your name right,
Mhm.
says 8 years plus of positionals. They too cannot break the muscle memory. But like,
Mhm.
how do you guys feel about maybe the damage ratio, like we've been
Yeah.
talking about? Since
Yeah.
none of us are monks and none of us have really touched it, all we have is opinions.
I mean, I do think it's kind of tough, right?
Yeah.
Because, and again, I never want to disparage a specific class because we see this in everything. People will oftentimes constantly say, like, oh, white mage is the easy, no brain healer, or these things, right? And it's like some classes are designed to be more streamlined in the actual things you're pushing at any given second to have a desired effect. And I think it's healthy that we have a wide range of things, right? Likewise, Stormblood Astrologian, like I've talked about many times here, was one of my favorites, and it was the most convoluted nonsense mess. And I loved it, and it was my mess. And it was so good because it actually wasn't a mess. It was, again, high skill ceiling, right? We have this discussion of classes that you may have more effort to execute something, but you get some sort of return. So the key here for me is always, what is the return? And we've seen them kind of shift with this and change things and decide, adjust cards, adjust difficulties, bring things more in line. Samurai, I think, really threw a wrench into melee DPS overall. Because up until then, melee DPS as a category had sort of been defined by the fact that they were oftentimes more high skill ceiling. You have to pay attention to things like positionals. You have to do these things. You have to know how to get in and out of stuff. You have to stack all your damage and keep your buffs running and do this thing and do that, right? So I don't think it was a bad move to add something in that maybe was more of a straightforward class within that category. And again, not to say that there's not complexities
Right.
within Samurai,
Optimization is hard, but yeah.
Yes. But it's something where, again, this discussion of if I have to do so much just to get the same number as what the baseline of this other class is, then it nullifies the concept of having something that is a high skill, high output reward. So they were either going to have to do something where, if they wanted to keep monks super complex, and they've been sort of taking things down and out of it and watering and changing things like over time, but if they wanted to keep it more complex, they were going to have to give an actual reward for doing well when you're more complex. So
Right.
your baseline and your basic abilities and things would be about the same as Samurai, we would assume, at least in general. And then you'd actually have a skill ceiling where if you really executed everything right, in theory, you would probably have a higher DPS threshold than them. They decided not to do this to keep everything fairly viable and not have a bunch of people who are striving for something they may or may not achieve. I mean, so to me, it's one of those things where to bring it in line is not a bad idea, but if they are going to do that, they have to make it do what the others do. You know what I mean? Again, it's like it has to at least have that same amount, and it has to do what it does well. So if it doesn't, and if, again, it's still something where you're still having to hassle with a lot of stuff, and it really, you can just pick up Samurai and play it and probably do about the same without even knowing as much, then I think you do have a problem on your hands with the design of it, unless that class is just inherently so fun to play that you like the extra effort. But
yeah. Which Summoner has not been a lot of times. Go ahead.
Yeah.
Summoner's been in that position a lot.
Yeah.
So go ahead, though.
In the case of melee DPS, though, I feel like both Monk and Dragoon, which prior to Reaper being out, were the ones sort of going, Samurai, F you.
Correct.
The
yes.
changes they made to Dragoon, I've heard, and I think Fusion can confirm, feel really solid and smooth and wonderful and nice and just whereas the changes to Monk are bleh. So
just I hate even to use the word clunky, but it really is the case. I mean, when you think about it, when you think about monks and like their rotation and things, I think about like a well-oiled machine or a car, you know, you're shifting gears. It's literally
Well-oiled muscles.
exactly. But it's literally in those transition points, or you get that we shifted, okay, now we're good, you know, like it halts a little. And that sucks. That is not a good feeling, especially for a monk class in any game. A monk class is fluid, it's fast, it's death by a thousand punches, but each one of those is important. So I don't know, it's weird. I don't know. I do want to play it though, just to find out myself.
Yeah.
Yep, I feel
So,
like
yeah.
it's kind of the
Mhm.
white mage when gauges were first introduced sort of
Oh,
moment.
sure.
Where many classes worked well with the job gauges and or were designed with them in mind at the time. But white mage, it was like, what? Like, you were looking at
Why?
the things that they did and you were like, none of this is how I would play white mage. Why is this in here? This thing is completely useless. This ability doesn't make any sense. It does not feel like it synergizes with the original concept of this class. What do you mean? And you didn't overhaul the class, so it also doesn't work because you didn't redesign it around this job gauge. But then we gave it an expansion, and lo and behold, everything got brought in line. They did a ton of changes to the job gauge and everything else, right? I kind of get the impression that maybe with Monk, and again, I haven't played it, I don't truly know, but I get the impression that they wanted to put in this new system that was kind of reminiscent of a fighter game and that also kind of had ties to Ninja's system. And then maybe with the other adjustments and things, they just haven't quite brought the whole picture together about how this would be moving forward. And maybe in another expansion, we'll see it all cohesively flow in a way that unites the old Monk and the new stuff in Monk in a much more, again, tightly knitted redesign kind of idea, bringing both of those parts together. But with all the other stuff that they did, this expansion and so many other classes, I think being in a good place, this one might just be the kind of awkward sore thumb, this expansion. And they did really well on many others. So, you know, I think maybe this one just needs a little more time to cook.
You know what I did want to say about tanks is last time we saw them all kind of normalized, right? You can play one and just put all the similar buttons in the same place and not look and be playing the same tank, basically.
Yeah.
I feel like this time they gave them a little bit of their personalities back. Like Warrior has always been that one that's like, I need to hit things and get their HP back in my big giant HP pool, and that's a thing now. Warrior is healing themselves. Oh my gosh, it's so wonderful to heal a warrior because you're still DPSing. So it's wonderful. Paladin. I have not heard a complaint from a paladin.
Not one.
All I hear is swords. Like that's all I hear from all the paladins. Actually, I have heard one complaint, and that's they gave Warrior back all the cool abilities again. So we're back to like Heaven's Word, where Paladin's going, "Why is Warrior so cool? I want to be cool too." Gunbreaker, they shoot things and they do damage with those shoots, and they're happy about it, as far as I've heard.
That's about it.
Yeah, back like we've already talked a lot about Dark Knight, so I won't like scoop back into that. That's seems to be the one where it's a little lacking in perhaps giving personality, except that Dark Knights are supposed to be sad kids, and they sure are right now.
Needs help.
Oh my god.
Wow.
That Ludo narrative. Yeah.
Wow.
It's brutal.
Yeah. Hey, you know what? I'm just gonna say right now, because I got to get on my soapbox. You know, a certain someone wrote about that in their media tour content, in which, yeah, Dark Knight's probably gonna be all right, but it's gonna be really bland. And you know, I got blamed a little bit. I wish I wasn't right. I do. But I was right.
We will vindicate you here. You were right.
Yeah, yes, I was wrong about some other small stuff like GCD versus OGCD. That's fine. But yeah, I don't know. Once again, we'll talk about Dark Knight with the Dark Knight at some point. We will have to do it. And Monk with a Monk, and you know, I'd love to go through that, but we have a lot of stuff to talk about between now and then. Once everyone gets through it.
Yep.
All right. Anything else that we want to talk about? Again, no spoilers. No talks about racing cars or
Aethernet update.
Oh yeah.
Yes, people in chat were saying.
So good. So
good.
good.
It's very nice, especially with the new areas. Being able
Yeah.
to, as we're still kind of learning the lay of the land, as it were. Super, super nice.
Yeah.
God, even with old areas, I can't tell you, we've been in the Crystarium for ages now. I would still hit the wrong thing to go to the wrong place. Go Rookery, I'd be meaning to go somewhere else. I'd be hitting I'm like, having the actual Aethernet there made such a difference to me, especially because this is probably just me, but I have a lot of trouble distinguishing the elevations on the map sometimes in Final Fantasy XIV, where I'll see something and I'll think, if I go here, it's going to be the right thing, but it actually turns out that it's underground or it's on a different layer of the map or it's all the way up on top. Like, just visually for me, I have trouble discerning that. So to actually just see, like, have the map pop up, have the things listed, if I remember that thing's next to this thing, or I'm like, oh, is it over here? Like, it just saves me that extra step to just, like, click exactly on the thing and go there. And not have to look at my map. And then I did it wrong. I looked at the wrong one. And then I went to, it just, like, it's so much nicer. It's definitely more streamlined.
The only place that's tripping me up is the old cities, especially Limsa Lominsa, because I always teleport back to free Limsa Lominsa, hit that Aetheryte, and go to my house or go to the aft castle to turn stuff in, and that muscle memory of where to move my mouse to hit aft castles there, and I'm like, that's not this one. I don't. What's okay. So it takes me like a half second to go, that's not what I need, but but otherwise, it's been super nice, in the new areas.
I felt like I felt like the cost adjustment stuff that they did has been far more beneficial than not. Like, it seems like pretty much everything is cheaper. And I thought it would be exorbitantly more, exorbitantly as in not really that expensive in the full spectrum of things. But I thought it would be much more expensive to go to places like the First or, another world. But it's actually, I think, less than it used to be. I feel like it used to cost me like $1,000 for many places. Yeah. But now it's cheaper.
Yeah.
For me, a lot of places are actually more expensive, but that's because, like, I'm doing hunts, so I need to go way across.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah, the First is interesting because it gives you the cost based on where it is on the First, even if you're on the source. So if you're going to the Crystarium, but you're in Mordona, it's super cheap because the Crystal Tower's right there. Yeah. So it's a weird layered, like,
they're
distance.
Doing it
it's cool.
Through the actual, like, connection points.
Yeah.
So because you can actually get to Lakeland from that Crystal Tower spot, it's cheaper through that. And that holds true with other places too.
Yeah.
That I don't want to talk about. But there's some weird places that should not be that cheap to teleport between, but because of teleport points between them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're like, wait a sec, that doesn't make any damn sense. Yeah. Something that I couldn't make sense of a little bit was materia. Like, I was like, I don't even care. Like, I might put some materia in here. Why is this 36? Why is that 24? Why is this lower? Why is that higher? I know that it was a little bit of that before, but what the hell? What am I doing? Well, this one is the highest number, so it's got to be the right one. And then the previous one is for pentamelding, I guess. Why did they do that? Just like, okay, it took me a sec to understand what the change was, basically.
Similarly, we were talking about this last night. Potions. They did not change potions.
Yeah.
So restores 4,000 HP, or however much it is.
Much bigger deal now.
Whereas it was like a teeny tiny useless bit of your HP.
I just want to say before when we were talking about like Sage and Dark Knight, and I made the joke about like nobody carries high pots anymore. I was just being like an asshole, like being sarcastic and stuff. But maybe.
I mean, yeah, maybe you would want to use them now or have them in those
Get those potions back on the hotbar.
I definitely actually used one of those to not die somewhere.
Oh, I definitely have done it a lot alone.
I have used maybe like 5 potions in the 10 years I've played this game. Like Dex boost potions and raid aside.
Oh, sure,
like actual HP recovering potions.
Yeah.
It's rare. Yeah.
Yeah, Summoners and Reapers are going to use a lot of them because they're going to be maniacally laughing as they go to a mob pack and they're like, ha, or a fate. And I'm like, I'm the first one. Murder. And you're like, oh, wait, now I'm going to die.
Oh my gosh.
That's what your max rank chocobo is for, though.
Yeah. Once I have one of those.
No,
I
was thinking
literally have
Faith
never
doing
gotten a
them.
Thavnarian onion.
Yeah,
I've
me
never
neither.
gotten a Thavnarian onion. I've never got one.
Oh my god.
I don't know where to get them. I don't know how to get them. It's fine. Chocobo will
I
be
don't-
okay.
Okay, this is pretend shade. Okay, it's pretend.
Pretend shade.
Mhm.
I don't. Yeah, I've never had to level my chocobo up because I have friends that do content with me.
Oh wow! Holy
It's
crap!
pretend
Are you
shade.
saying?
Wow,
Pretend shade.
Zen.
See, I feel attacked because I'm like, am I no better than a chocobo to you? Is that what you're saying? I'll flip it right back around. I'll be mad just like Fusion is mad. Like it was at both of us right there.
But also, like, what circle of friends is like, let's go do fates together?
Mine.
All right.
It's weird. It's weird. Yeah, I know.
Well,
weird.
Fusion, here's the thing. When data center travel is the thing is that
Oh, yeah.
they're all waiting for you. You just have
Yeah.
you just got your boy on Primal for no reason. You just
I
got
mean,
to come
good reason.
here 24/7 and just live here with us on Crystal Data
you
Center.
you don't understand, Rook. I have a medium plot now. I can't move again.
Oh, you're locked. That's it.
I can't lose another medium plot. I can't
don't do
it.
that.
Okay, well, you can hold your max level chocobo on the cold dark nights while the rest of us
Like,
Wow.
I'm fine
wait
with it.
for
Like
you
it's
to
got
come
some,
join us.
it's got that cool Dragoon barding because of that.
Yeah.
Like whatever, I'm good.
It's true.
I'm content.
I do
One
wish I had leveled the
day.
chocobo.
Yeah, one day you'll be able. For me, it was
Wow.
just when I hit the Thavnarian onion thing. I was kind of like, I don't want to spend money on that. I don't need it.
Hmm.
I'm a.
But
I'm
when
a
we
penny
have data
pincher.
center travel, you can come run Fates with us, Fusion.
I mean, we'll probably be still grinding for some of the rewards. I'm just gonna say.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
I actually already have one zone completely done. So
Me
Nice.
too.
it's like and I did like days ago too. Like it was scary and sad how quick I got those zones just completely knocked out. I'm like, why did I do that now?
Just cause, enjoy it. Whatever is grabbing you at the time. I definitely took way too long in each of that zones comparatively. Like I got through it pretty quickly because I still am going to talk to everyone and everything. But I kept going back when things would change. When I'm like, is this gonna? Nope. All right. Well, I can't fly, so I guess I'm hoofing it back. All right, that's cool. All right. Oh, did something change now? Gonna go all the way back. Not gonna use the Aetheryte. Gonna go all the way back. Nope, nothing changed. All right, cool. I did it every single time.
Good for you.
Sometimes they do change though.
Yeah, they do.
You
Sometimes
never
I
know
was
with this
actually-
game.
Yeah, I was more. There have been a few times. I mean,
Yes.
again, I'll just the big
Vague.
sweeping vagaries, right? Because
Yeah.
obviously our actual real discussion about story or anything related to it will be will be later on, and we're gonna actually dive into it. But the level of care that has gone into the MSQ, the amount of detail work that has gone into bringing together 10 years of storytelling, the amount of references, even going back to 1.0, the amount of just everything is actually astonishing to me. This thing was painstakingly crafted. And there have been places where I've talked to NPCs and dialogue has changed over the course of what's happening there or what's been going on. There have been little things I would have caught I wouldn't have caught if I hadn't, run by every single pack and seen if, here's some NPCs. Does dialogue trigger? Here's this thing. What did they say? Let me make sure, this expansion more than any other, I think, has actually had some of the most valuable just little tidbits from people around and things and stuff and different phases of the world. So while it's not, again, always like, yes, you don't have to go all the way back to some place to do it. I have been surprised more often than not that there has been something waiting for me or some little thing and sometimes there's not. And it's like, okay, whatever.
I've definitely been more on like the lookout for that kind of stuff this time around. I feel like personally, like I'll be like, hey, random person just standing there that doesn't have an NPC name. Do you say anything if I walk over? No, you don't. Okay, I'll go check out these other people. Do you have bubble text? No.
Yeah.
Okay, that's fine.
I do also think they might have improved some of the spontaneous like NPC behavior. I don't know if any of you noticed this, but as I've gone around cities, and while it's not massively prevalent, I have noticed that there are instances of characters coming out of places, walking to places. Occasionally, there will be a small scene that happens that then will like break up and a character will walk away, or like there have been like little touches where if you actually go through, little things appear, or like little
Mhm.
stuff will change, or something will walk over here, or like, and I've really appreciated that.
Yeah, I mean
Yeah.
they've had that kind of stuff for a while now.
But they've really, yeah.
Did they step it
there's
up?
more of
I
it
don't
now.
know.
It feels
Yeah.
much more prevalent to me.
Okay.
The like spontaneous interaction of people and things feels more.
To me, I can
Maybe,
really,
yeah.
I really notice it in, once again, not a spoiler because we know we're going to Old Charlian, specifically in Old Charlian, specifically on the walkways. I will see people walk back and forth,
Mhm.
and some of them are surprising, right? Like, okay, they're random NPCs, but then I look and I'm like, what's that story, right? Like, what? Why are you going there? And they'll go in and they won't disappear. They will not just disappear. They will go in and talk to another NPC, and then go back on their patrol back. And I'm like, it doesn't matter. I don't care. They don't have any bubble text. I don't know why they're saying that, but it just made it feel more alive,
Sure.
Yeah, makes it feel like a bustling city.
Yeah.
Bustling
Absolutely.
hub of knowledge.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I love too that there's still like, I won't say anything. I'll let people find it for themselves.
Sure.
But like, just like random stupid NPC stuff. You know what I mean? Like
Talk to everybody.
There's definitely like some stuff to check out.
Yes.
I'm trying to remember where I saw it, because it was in Thavnir where I saw this NPC.
Mm-hmm.
It might have been near the giant skull stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, just keep an eye out for NPC
Look
stuff.
around.
Yeah, you never know what kind of crazy stuff you'll see.
Mm-hmm.
So
Oh yeah, especially in this expansion, as we said, as you were saying, that attention to detail is here, and it was a short delay, right? But I think you can feel the benefit from it, right? I think that they really got a chance to go through, sit down, and follow that critical path, and really go, okay, all right, how does this feel? Because to me, I didn't feel any bits that were super disjointed. There's a bit that I will talk about at some point that I don't like, that I know a lot of people don't like. But that's about the only thing that I disliked in general. But it's tiny, it's small. Who cares? Like you do it and then you're done, and the NPCs, you talk to them and they're great. So whatever.
yeah, I think we'll definitely be talking more about this for the review show. Still not spoilery, but like talking a little bit more about the game and
the second layer of spoilers.
Yeah.
You know that part in Shadowbringers where you're building the big rock dude?
Oh, the Talus, yeah.
It felt kind of like jammed in weirdly.
I didn't feel
that didn't happen for me this time. Yeah, there was no part that felt like, well, this needs to happen and we're gonna have it happen this way.
Yeah.
There wasn't like a 20 quest long arc about preparing a buffet before you can like go and fight Titan or anything like that. It's
I will neither confirm nor deny.
Yeah.
No. Yeah, I really found that I think possibly, and it depends on some of the things you've done and choices you've made, the beginning was the only place where I felt a little bit where, or there could be a little bit, depending on what you had done, there could be a little bit of disjointedness. And we can talk more about that later.
Oh, yeah.
But like, even again, the way everything culminates, it's airtight, the way everything eventually comes together, incredible. But that was really the only place that I felt anything that felt clunky to me thus far.
Yeah,
and not
I
even
agree.
clunky. It's not even a good word. It's just that it was like, I don't know. There was the possibility of a little bit of a like,
better.
what?
I think my the way that, because me and my wife have been talking a lot about this. Like, I'll play a little bit, and then like she'll get caught up, and so then we'll talk about it. And I think the way that we've talked about it is that it seems slightly less unfocused at the beginning than Shadowbringers did. Because Shadowbringers, it's like, okay, you're on the first, just go. But with Endwalker, there's a little bit of establishing more kind of connections and things like that. There's a little more back and forth. Whereas with Shadowbringers, it was just like, okay, you're on the first and go.
You don't know where anyone is. Just go. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So I mean, it with the story that they're trying to tell, I think that was inevitable for that to happen. Whether or not narratively they could have put that together better or not, who knows? We'll probably talk a little bit more about this when we do the review show. But yeah. Speaking of review show, I think we're still planning for next week. I think everybody is more or less on track to get finished or has finished already. So again, we're not going to be doing any crazy spoilers with the review. We might talk a little bit more about, like today we were kind of vague on like types of quests. Maybe we'll talk a little bit more about that for the review. But we're not going to like drop any like final boss names or end areas or anything like that during the review, so you can listen to that without hopefully any worries. And then after that we're gonna be taking a few weeks off because it's the holidays. It's like they land like right on Saturdays, I think, this year.
I think they are.
Literally right on the date. So after that we are planning to have Anonymous join us for Lorecast. We currently have 2 scheduled because if we took 3 episodes to talk about like Boja and all the other stuff from that patch, we're probably going to need at least 2 to talk about Endwalker. And we've already got some other stuff like scheduled that we're planning as well. We plan early February. Susan Calloway will be joining us for a nice chat. So there's a lot of stuff coming up. So hopefully everybody is able to get into queue, enjoy Endwalker for themselves.
Me tab over, hit spacebar.
So there's I
got in the game about 5 minutes ago.
I'm not in the queue anymore. Sacrifices that we have to make for podcasting.
You're true pal.
Real heroes don't wear capes.
Yeah, we tease you, Fusion, but we actually love you. So.
Is there anything else that we wanted to cover today? I mean, I think that's really without getting too much into
lots of stuff, but nothing that we can talk about.
Yep.
I want to talk about role quests for an hour, but we can't. So we will.
Aldino, let me ask you something right now, because while I know that you don't have to do them before you finish the story, do you think it is better thematically to do them before you finish the story?
Absolutely. 100%. Absolutely.
Then I will make time to do them all.
Maybe I will do that if I don't stream MSQ today.
Well,
maybe
I would just do
that unless you get to 85 on the job type.
Yes, you have to. Yeah,
that's the big preventative thing.
Well, I mean, I'm 90, so like I'm like good to go
so you got that
now.
Yeah, it's just the concept of role quests from Shadowbringers and the way that it was made, thinking about porting it over, because we were doing something very specific, and the way that they did this was, I think, the best way that they could in an expansion like this.
I will say,
elaborate on that.
Not having done any of the quests yet, the way that they've handled it and the rewards and the gear.
Yeah.
Thank you.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
Thank
such
you.
a great idea.
Memoria was the stupidest thing you've done since No Hats on Viera. Like.
Oh, I do have to say, as a little note, though, I am a little bitter because most of the new dungeon gear that's not reused assets thus far, the hats don't work on Viera. So I have some conflicted. That's maybe my only other Endwalker critique. I may have very bitterly during my recording gotten to a gear set that I was really excited about and tried the hat on and then been like, and of course I can't wear it.
How are we still... How is this still a thing?
Having a few new hairstyles is nice.
Yeah, that's cool.
Was it as many new hairstyles as I thought we were going to be getting, given that they were talking about how they're expanding? No, but we have some. So for the first time since I made my character, I did a hair change. But again, I mean, they're small things. I mean, the rest of the expansion is truly phenomenal, and we know they're working on it. So of course, I'm being patient. I do still really firmly believe that if you have new stuff that's coming into your game, you have to make it work on these races. So it really was disappointing to me to have what I already felt like was a fairly narrow selection of new gear that I was excited about, but that, was behind stuff that I would have easily farmed, only to find out that an entire piece, again, does not work for my character. And it just... I know we harp on it, but it is something that
there's
really
a reason we harp on it. Like, it's stupid. Like, why?
Yeah.
Why is this a thing?
Yeah, it really it does bum me out. I mean, I'll be
Yeah.
real, and it
Yeah.
stinks. So
Mhm.
that was like that was a little tiny thing. I mean, everything else amazing,
Yeah.
unbelievable. I will be singing its praises for a very
Oh,
long
man.
time. But
Yeah.
At least the hairstyles that you pay real money for is what they are working on. Like you can wear the lightning one now.
yeah.
Sucks to buy something, pay actual money, and then be like, well, that doesn't work on my character.
Yep.
It's it baffles me that they put themselves in that position. It
I know.
baffles me.
It really is confusing to me again because this, I mean, like we talked about, this team is meticulous.
Yeah.
They are so meticulous in so many other areas.
Yes.
So for this to just be this thing that continues to happen and is ongoing, and that was even made the way it was in the first place, it's always surprising to me. And I have no doubt that it weighs on them and that they really think about it, and that's why they've been taking steps against it, you know? And we do know Hrothgar stuff is going to be getting an update 6.1, I think is what they said.
I think so.
So
Something
that's
like that.
good, and I'm looking forward to more. But yeah, it kind of sucked. It was a
Absolutely.
little bit of frustration there
Yeah.
where I was just like, and again, you've done it.
You made me realize just now. The farthest I've teleported so far has been from Old Starlian to Doma, somewhere in Doma. And that was 1,900 something. Still cheaper than a haircut.
Yeah. Who knew?
You're right. That's funny. Huh.
Magic. Like supreme travel magic. Cheaper than a haircut.
Well, Jandalane just wants our money, right?
That guy.
Yeah.
Isn't that-
Look,
I mean,
look, it's as much the actual act of getting the haircut, but it's also, you know, the years of experience that he has, the companionship of him
Sure.
technically being
Making
there but
fun of
not
us.
being there when you get your haircut, you know, the conversation, you know.
He busts up in like, oh, you look busted. I'll fix it. He himself looks very busted.
Oh, absolutely. I do not trust him.
do not critique his sense of
Wow.
style. He is living his best life, being what he wants to be, looking how he wants to look. I'm just saying, I have to commend it.
Sure, he can look however he wants, but he can't make fun of me.
Yeah. It's like you can't cast stones. You're living in a glass house over there.
Yeah. Especially, this is such a silly thing to get tweaked at, but when I'm like, I think I'll change my hair, and I look and I'm like, nah, I'm not going to change my hair. He's like, see, you look so much better now. I'm like, I didn't change anything.
Get out of here.
No, but your attitude about it has changed. You're like, man, I don't like how I look. I'm going to change it. You know what? I like the way I am.
Chat's been talking about the beard face.
Oh, sure.
I think it sucks that they just put it on one face.
I know.
I guess I get why they do, but that sucks.
Yeah, I mean, look, I don't disagree, but also like the fact that they like brought it public at all is surprising. I mean, the fact that it's weird because really, I mean, right, for those of you that haven't been following the, you know, the stubble thing, basically all they did was they made this for a model they used in trailers and then they pushed it live. That's all they did. It's that specific face for that specific race and gender, and they just made it available. That's all they did. They didn't do any extra work for it. It's something they had internally. They pushed it live. That's it.
Yes. Yeah. And it is, I mean, it brings up a bigger discussion, which again, as maybe I'm sure we'll have some kind of podcast at some point, like where do we go from here in the future of Final Fantasy XIV one day? But you know, if we're not getting any more races and they're finishing these out, getting a CC update, I think would be much wanted. And adding something like a category that has more robust options for facial hair and other things like scars or tattoos or stuff like that. Makeup that's actual makeup and not just like weird, and then I spray painted my face orange and things like that. That, I mean, just give you, again, more control over what you can have in this game. And we know it's possible. We know that they can do it. We know that people have done it. But none of us would know anything about that because none of us would, ever. But there are, you know, it's something that they could do, and I hope they do in the future because, yes, like separating that stubble off of that man's face, my Ellison canonically has stubble, and in all the art that I have of him, he has stubble. But can I put stubble on his face? No. I can only put weird facial hair knife daggers on his face, and they look dumb, and I hate that.
Oh, I have a magnificent rant ready when we're going to talk about spoilers, because there's something in particular in this expansion that I will not talk about that has me and Ellison just raging. And it's tiny. It doesn't even matter, but I can't wait to rage about that with you.
I am looking forward to whatever this is.
Yeah, it's going to be good.
Okay.
I think it'll be great.
Okay.
You know what I do want to say before you wrap up?
Sure.
Just thinking about Yoshi P's sad little face when he had to tell us that things got pushed back 2 weeks. It's fine. This is such a beautiful wrap up.
Yeah.
I'm completely, totally satisfied. Like I have finished MSQ. I am so happy with how things wrapped up. It's so good. I've cried 70 tears.
Yep.
Oh my god.
She actually had a mirror so she could count each single.
I mean, it was like 70 tier sessions.
Yes.
We'll talk more about that when I can actually talk about what those things are. But
Sure.
we joked about doing a tier counter before it came out, and so I actually kept track of every single thing that made me cry during the course.
I
my
have,
gosh.
70 times.
I have gotten
I'm gonna have to go.
emotional a few times. I actually did tear up once so far.
Yeah.
Actual
I-
waterworks.
Am a mess of I
Yeah.
am a disaster human. I'm a disaster human. And I will have to go through my playthrough and actually mark down all the times that I cried or that my eyes watered up, because there's something too to be said, and this is such a silly thing, but I would maybe encourage people to do. I don't know. You don't have to do it. I don't know. This is maybe just a me thing with my acting background. I find that sometimes those cutscenes that are just dialogue, I have a tendency to blast through because I read faster than sometimes I even emotionally think.
Sure.
And so I will blast past them. But there have been some things in this expansion that I was actually incredibly grateful, and last expansion, and in the patches, and in everything, that I was actually incredibly grateful that I was being forced to voice act it because I had decided to voice act all the characters, right, for my playthrough. But that made me really sit with some lines that were unvoiced in such a way that I just started crying. Like, I was just like, holy butts. I probably would not have emotionally latched onto this line if I hadn't given it the space and time that I needed to actually really say it, read it, and take it in. So, like, yeah, I mean, I just take your time going through it, even with all these cues and things, and even with the frustrations. Like, I mean, read some of the lines out loud, savor them. Like I said earlier, I mean, again, no spoilers, but Zen, I agree with you. I'm not even through it all yet. And at first, you know, I was kind of like, well, this will be 10 years of story, so let's see if they can do it. And I was like, I know they will, but let's see. I'm going to be skeptical at first. And then lo and behold, I got out last night and I just said to my partner, like, I walked out of this room and I was like, this is the best expansion I've ever. I was like, I can't even. This is a testament to their care and love and craft. I was like, this is actually unbelievable. I am actually completely stunned. I was just like, I have never seen a company pull this off. 10 years of storytelling. 10 years. When you make a single player game, it's an entirely different beast. And I was just like, to take 10 years of evolving world, story, lore, characters, mentions, side content, a failed first launch, all of it, every single bit of it, and touch every single part of that game and experience in such a way that I truly felt like it was an honor to have done it. Even if there are points I'm sure that people will argue about plot and this and that and culmination and everything. It is truly, I think we've witnessed something that has not been achieved in MMOs before. And that's all I'll say. I mean, I think it is incredible. And I hope everybody loves it. And I can't wait until we can talk more about it.
Oh,
You know what I mean?
I cannot wait.
I say satisfying because I don't have words to actually express how I feel. Like, satisfying is like baseline of how I feel about how it was all wrapped together. Like, there is no, well, they just did such a good job. I'm not upset at all about how things came together at the end. There were parts where I'm like, I know exactly what's going to happen next, but the journey that got me to that point that I knew was going to happen was just so good. It made me feel so much, and just I love that I had such a long list of things that make me feel something enough, whether happy or sad, to like mist up or cry, or I love things that make me feel, and this made me feel so much. I was telling my mother-in-law about this the other day, 'cause after I emerged from my cocoon of MSQ, I was like, okay, I have to I have to let my husband know that I do still love him, and we're gonna go see your mom, and it's fine. I'm a real person again. I will come out of the cocoon now. And so we went out to dinner, and I'm explaining to her some of the things that made me like really happy or really sad during the storyline, because she plays Guild Wars 2. She really loves MMOs also, so we have like a connection there. And I was telling her about it.
Shout out to Phil's mom.
This to her. Yeah, I was explaining this to her in a public setting, trying really hard not to cry again about the things that I'm remembering. It's so fulfilling. Okay, fulfilling is better than satisfying.
Sure.
It was very fulfilling.
See, they had an easier time with me. I mean, whatever, Shadowbringers was super emotionally resonant. Elidibus is one of my favorite things that has ever happened in anything. And yeah, it was definitely impactful. Endwalker is after 10 years of a saga of 14. I have been working professionally for 10 years. I have been working professionally in one place for 6. I am leaving this week. Friday was my last day. I finished the MSQ during that. The themes, the music in the back of my head while I'm at work. Knowing that I can't explain to anyone like why that's happening. Knowing that I'm in a management position, I'm looking out for my team going forward, this whole transition thing, and I'm just like, yeah, this is the worst time to play this and do this at the same time. Oh my goodness, constantly was I. Yeah, I was just like,
it's funny. You talk about just talking about it again it gets you worked up. So like the way that it's been working for the last like handful of days is like I'll play it and then my wife will play it and I'll watch her play it. Yeah. So like I can see her reactions to it. So like I get to this part where like actual tears, like my first like it broke me. I'm like, hey, so I see you logged in, you're playing. Where? Oh, you're right there. I'm just like, not again. It's just it's it's one of those things. I can't wait to talk about this with more people.
When they tell you to hydrate, when people are like, oh, don't forget to hydrate. You have to because you cry so much. Well, I had to because I cried so much. Oh
it just comes right back out.
Yep.
Just okay.
There you go.
Yep.
Oh my god.
All right, I think that is going to wrap us up here for this week. Thanks everybody for hanging out. If you want, you can find me on all the things at Ralphaderg, Twitch, Twitter, YouTube. I've been streaming MSQ. So if you are past that point and want to see some stuff, I'll be doing that at some point here if I ever get back in the queue. Zen, where can they find you?
On Twitter, you can find me at Zenidra_A. On Twitch, I have the Strawberry Bop, which I currently don't really do anything on. Sorry. And on YouTube, you can find, obviously, the Gamerscape one, but plus one shot. It is word plus number one word shot. We Charles and I do a D&D podcast. We have 3 games running right now. We have fun. It's goofy and silly and fun. And so if you're interested in some D&D campaigns, we're doing that over there.
I've realized that for some reason this didn't update, even though I put in the new slide. If you want to find Aldino, it's not at AnonymousXIV.
No, we are not the same person.
I don't know why. I updated
wish.
this and everything, and it reverted for some reason. Thank you very much, OBS. I appreciate that.
No. But you can find me on Twitter at Aldino. And nowhere else. Still working on the OnlyFans.
So you got the ear and knee pictures you said you got done or are working on?
That's all I want to talk about right now.
Okay.
Once again, we're trying not to get into spoilers, and there's just some things that are related to the MSQ that I don't want to talk about, right? Some projects I have, so let's not get into it.
Okay.
I'm like in my head now. I'm like, okay, how does this MSQ relate to like knees? Or like, is there
Don't worry.
something? Is there something I missed?
Oh no. See, this is not a spoiler. I'm not telling you how it's related. It's not related to knees or ears. It's a new type of content that I'm putting on there.
Are you doing elbows?
See, I can't tell you.
I tried to get us that world exclusive, everybody. I tried. Rook, where can
Twitter's
they
does. All it
where
is.
can they find you?
Yes, you can still currently find me, Bird of Chess, everywhere. I keep telling everybody, I'm like, one day this will happen. You have no idea when. The rebrand will be occurring, but won't it be delightful? No one knows when it will happen. Not even me. So it will be Rookery, ROOKURI, very soon. But at the moment, we are still Bird of Chess here on Twitch, on YouTube, Twitter, all that stuff. I did also have, if you want to add some feels onto your feels, a music video go up that is a cover of Answers sung by the Lady of Light. Me singing it, dressed as the Lady of Light. It was a huge project, and I am so glad we did it, and even more so now. And that's all that I'll say. It was incredibly beautiful. It's a song I've always loved, and I wouldn't have been able to do it without some amazing people who helped me realize it. So if you would like to check it out, there's no spoilers or anything like that, but it's just something in honor of everything that Final Fantasy XIV has given to me. So you can find that on my YouTube, Bird of Chess.
Yeah. Spoilers, there will be feels.
If you don't already have tissues on your desk from doing MSQ, go get the tissues before you watch this video. It'll make you tear up.
All right. If you want, you can contact the show, Aetheryte Radio, at gamerescape.com. Send us an email. Send us a tweet at Aetheryte Radio. If anybody out there has picked up that Embody plugin, let us know your thoughts on that. And of course, you can find us as Gamer Escape on Twitter, Twitch, YouTube, Facebook, and Discord, discord.gg/Gamer Escape. All the things. Plan is next week to do our review. Again, no spoilers, but we will be talking a little bit more about maybe some mechanical aspects or something. But, we're not going to go into like any crazy spoilers. So stay tuned for that. And then again, we'll be taking a break for the holidays, and we'll come back with Lorecast. I can't wait. I want it to be like I like the holidays, but also can we just fast forward past the holidays? I want to get to
so talk about this.
I want to get to the Lorecast. Yeah. So I hope everybody has a great rest of your weekend. I hope the cues are in your favor. Hope they play nice, and you are able to get through some of that story. We will see you back here next week. Everybody have a great rest of your weekend.
Bye, everyone.
See ya.